You're about to tap into the fan's perspective, where all things entertainment are talked about by the fans who love them the most. Now let's dive in with your host, Chris Laporta. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fans Perspective Podcast, brought to you courtesy of StarsAndCelebs.com, where you can get all of your entertainment news, play some quizzes, read some celebrity interviews, and there's some other great content for you, all available at StarsAndCelebs.com. And don't forget about Chud.com for all you horror lovers. And thank you for supporting the Fans Perspective. And my name is Chris Laporta. Remember, you can follow us at Fans Perspective Pod on Instagram, and don't forget to join in on the conversation where you're listening to this on SoundCloud, also on YouTube. Leave your comments, subscribe on YouTube so you can stay notified to all the great content that comes to you from Stars and Celebs. And I am super excited to be here tonight doing this podcast episode because it's just going to be so much fun. I am honored to have two of my closest friends here join me for it. And we are going to be talking, not only talking, but we're also going to be watching probably maybe the greatest cult classic movie of all time. And of course, I'm talking about The Warriors. 40 years this past February. 1979 this movie was released. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun as we watch it and talk about it. And joining me, of course, returning guest, close friend, Eric. Welcome back.
How you doing? Good to be back, man.
First time since WrestleMania.
I know. Been a little bit too long, if you ask me. How you doing?
And that other guy you heard in the background is another close friend of mine, Shahad, a.k.a. Shah Boogie.
Hey, I'm here.
First time
Thank you for the
ever.
invite, brother.
Yeah, first time ever.
On a podcast period.
On a podcast period.
It's
I'm
a
a
big
freshman.
It's a big moment.
I'm glad that it's my podcast that you're doing.
I'm nervous. I'm shaky. And I hope everything goes well.
I think we'll be all right. So, before we really get rolling into this thing, the way we're going to try to do this is we'll start off with some guest questions as usual, and then we're going to play the movie, and as we're watching the movie, we'll have some open dialogue, and we'll also throw out some facts about the movie and discuss all that as well. So, first things first, who is your favorite Warriors character?
Oof.
I would have to say Ajax.
All right, yeah.
I would have to. He just, he's tough. He doesn't give a shit, and that's my type of guy right there.
And here's the best one-liners in the movie.
Yeah, man.
Can you go any wrong? I mean, Ajax is great, but I mean, I do have to go. I mean, Swan is the man, right? I mean, just the little things that he throws out, and I'm not talking about like, he's all tough and everything. It's the little things that he throws out to Mercy in the movie. Why don't you just strap a mattress to your back? Stuff like that. He's in the subway system.
That's a great line.
Those are so good. But low key, right? Swan and Cochise are like the unsung heroes of the movie.
Ooh.
Right? I mean, if you think about it, when you watch this movie, right? How they save Cowboy.
He's a
right? And then you have Cochise, who just doesn't care. Like, I don't care, man. I was hauling ass. Like, he doesn't give a damn. It's those little things that he says, but like they're like the unsung heroes of the movie. They're not hot headed. They keep a level head the entire time. Mm-hmm. They kind of keep everybody grounded in the movie. Mm-hmm. And people don't talk about them enough, I don't think. But I love those guys. But I'm gonna go Swan. He's just my guy. Yeah.
You there?
All right, so I'm gonna try to be, I guess, throw a little different answer out there, and I'm gonna say Luther.
Wow.
The bad guy.
Wow.
Why is that?
Just because I think he's a great villain, and I think he's like the whole catalyst to everything.
Yeah,
that's true.
Like he's the one that starts this whole everybody chasing the Warriors from where I don't even remember where they start, but they're trying to get to Coney Island from the Bronx to Coney Island, and
they're just trying to make it home.
and of course, like just the way that guy back then in the 80s, I mean, he was known for playing villains. And he was just good at it. Like, he was just an annoying villain that you would just want to beat his ass every time you see him. And then, of course, especially at the end with his famous line that apparently he ad-libbed.
He did.
Yeah, it wasn't written or anything.
He wanted to originally use dead pigeons for the the scene, and Walter Hill was against it. Then he just grabbed 3 Coke bottles and started, I think it was Coke bottles anyway. David Patrick Kelly, who fantastic actor, also, which I don't know if people give him enough credit in terms of villain in the movie, because if you think about it, right, what's his motivation in the movie? Absolutely nothing. Right?
Yeah.
Why did you kill Cyrus? I just like doing stuff like that.
Right,
and if you think about that, right? And then if you think about Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight, right? Causing chaos. Some people just want to watch the world burn. I mean, is that not inspiration from Luther from the Warriors? I mean, if you talk about the impact of this movie all the way down, and besides the whole, like, the rap game and basketball and everybody, and how many people are inspired by it, think about the comic book aspect. And if you think about The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's Joker, right? Cause a little chaos. Upset the establishment. I just like doing stuff like that. Yeah. And then that's Luther, hands down. I mean, if you think about it,
the same guy who was in the Longest Yard?
Yeah, he was.
He was
a bad guy in The Longest Yard too.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was.
He the dude writing the playbook. He was
still in the play. He sets Chris Rock on fire.
Yeah, that's him.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's him.
He's also famous or infamous, I guess, for because he was in the movie Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the scene when Arnold's hanging him over the cliff and he lets him go. He screams as he's falling. He screams "Ooh la la."
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna go and watch Commando. That's amazing.
He does.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So David Patrick Kelly. Yeah,
he's
been around, man.
Yeah.
You know what though? He's a quintessential villain too. I'm like, I can't. I mean, maybe that's typecasting on my part, but
a little bit.
I cannot see him in anything else and not think of the Warriors every time I see him.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's how iconic his role is.
What he's most famous.
Yeah, I mean, hands down,
All right, so there's so many different gangs in this movie. Obviously, everybody loves the Warriors, but besides him, who would you say is your, let's say, second favorite gang that's portrayed in the movie?
Man.
Oh, second favorite gang?
And we'll talk more about them as the movie goes.
Come on. The Lizzies. Come on. Just stop. Just stop everything right now. Because they're the most unassuming gang in the entire movie. You think they're just a bunch of chicks that want to party, and they got a hidden agenda. And
I have to agree.
I mean, the Lizzies, man. Come on. The Lizzies are fantastic.
I like good looking, so
they are some good looking chicks. For the 70s, how you doing? Love them.
I would have to say, I don't know if I got their name. The baseball dudes with the
Furies.
Those guys. I like those guys.
You know,
they're walking around with bats.
Exactly.
They have the makeup on. It just looks scary. You know.
It is, and it's so unassuming because they have baseball
walking around in Central Park or whatever. Because I think they was in Manhattan when they met him. And you just see a guy that's walking around swinging a bat. He just looks crazy. Yeah, I think that's my.
But they're also so ridiculous. Like, you got to put on that face paint.
But that's the scary part.
Yeah, that's the scary part, man.
Because it's like, yo, look at these assholes. They have baseball uniforms on, and they turn around with the makeup and be like, oh, okay, shit, yeah. And then they're swinging a bat, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna run from these guys now because they all look demented.
Imagine you just walking with your girl, you just minding your business. See those guys like, yo, babe, we gonna cross the
street. You know what's funny though?
You know, like
Walter Hill was a huge fan of baseball, and then he was a huge fan of Kiss. If you actually look at the makeup, it kind of does resemble like a Kiss makeup.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And it does look a little menacing, you know, and it's unassuming. Another one that's just unassuming. Like, you're like, you know, I mean, to turn a first from Ajax, right? I'll shove that bat up your ass, turn into a popsicle. But those guys look fucking. I would run before I try anything. I mean,
just seeing a group of those guys are sitting there, like, you know, they up to something.
Right, exactly.
You know, they're not there to help you, you know, swing and try to hit a home run. Like, they look like they there to knock you out. They got baseball bats.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Baseball bats, makeup. It just looks crazy to me. And what was it? They made this movie, I think 1979, but it came out in 1980, correct?
February 1979. It was
really?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. I thought it came out in 80, like 1980.
Way before our time.
Yeah.
But yet still, its reach in 2019 is amazing.
It's still talking about.
Right. It's still iconic.
So just to run through the cast real quick, Michael Beck plays Swan, the leader of the Warriors.
You may remember him from Xanadu also. Just putting that out there.
Deborah Van Valkenburg is Mercy. David Patrick Kelly, we talked about, is Luther. David Harris plays Cochise. Lynn Thigpen is the DJ. She's the lady from Where in the World's Carmen Sandiego, right?
She has the most iconic mouth. Let me just stop right there. in no way is this disrespectful. This lady has the most iconic mouth in the history of, I don't know, anything, because you don't see her anything but her lower jaw.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And the minute I saw it when I was a kid, I was like, oh, that's the lady from Carmen Sandiego. That's how I knew her right from the jump, is that jawline.
It was easy to spot.
Right, exactly.
And her voice, too.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes Ruehl has a small part in a future Oscar winner.
She's Undercover Cop.
Yeah,
Bust Ajax,
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of Ajax, James Remar, who probably is, I would say, probably the most famous in this movie because he still acts to this day. And I don't think anybody else really does much of anything.
And most famously, Dexter's father in the Dexter series. You know? And all-around freaking character actor for the most of his career.
Directed by Walter Hill.
Walter Hill, good actor. Good actor. Good director. What am I saying? I'm a couple of years in. I'm sorry. These margaritas were strong. How you doing?
Also known for directing 48 Hours.
Yeah.
That's a fun movie.
Right. Iconic 48 Hours. Come on.
I think he did both of them. That and
the second one sucked, right?
I kind of like the second one.
I dig the first one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's how it's going to go. We're going to start the movie, and all you listeners out there, if you want to join with us, we're going to go 3, 2, 1, and then hit play. I'm going to raise the volume a little, so you're going to hear it in the background, but that's all right. All right, here we go. So 3, 2, 1, and play. And we are getting ready to watch The Warriors.
So here's a question. So now we're talking about, so this is an introduction by Walter Hill, the screenwriter.
Yeah.
Right? Talking about the new edition of The Warriors that we're watching here. What do you prefer? Do you like the new edition? This was the cut that was released, I think, in 2006, 2007, as opposed to the original cut that was just a straight, we saw on the picture of the Wonder Wheel and all this other stuff. What do you think?
I think that as far as I know, I think the only difference was the comic strip aspect that they added.
Yeah.
Which they wanted to do from the start, but they didn't have the budget or the means to do it. So they added it on later. And I think it's an interesting thing to do because The Warriors is not based on a comic. It's based on a novel.
Yeah.
And that novel is also based on another ancient Greek story.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but so it's not a comic book movie. So I think it's interesting to add that aspect to it. But Walter Hill is a comic book fan.
As you can see with the joint.
Right. Yeah. So I think it's cool. I don't mind it at all. I think it's fun.
See, I like it, but I feel like why alter a thing that's good already? You know, and that was the problem with me with Blade Runner. You know, with like 4 different director's cuts, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's like I like. I like. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with adding the little splash panels of the comic book, which it doesn't bother me so much. But it was like the movie's awesome on its own. I mean, and I get like because you know like sometimes there's a you know more famously now there's a big petition to release the director's cut of Justice League. Right, the Zack Snyder version, and you know, this is his vision. This is what he originally wanted and couldn't get. So it's like, you know what, good for you. Me personally, I'm impartial to the original, but I do get it. I mean, it's not like it takes away. It's not like a huge difference. You know what I mean?
Do you think it takes away from the realism of it? Like it's like a gritty.
Yeah, it does. I would completely agree. I would say that like right now we're looking at a panel of over 2 millenniums ago an army of Greek soldiers. Like for me. This doesn't do it for me. I need the picture of the Wonder Wheel starting immediately right away. You know what I mean? And for me, this now kind of takes you out of that moment. And they wanted more realism. They wanted realistic fights and stuff, you know? So it's like, why are we doing this, you know?
And this Greek story is actually about a Greek army that was trapped in foreign lands and they were trying to get back to their homeland. So clearly a direct inspiration for the Warriors.
Right.
The narration that we're hearing, I don't know who's doing it now, but they tried to get Orson Welles to do it. But he was obviously a big star, and it would have cost him too much.
Like, hey, if you want me to do it, you gotta pay up.
But see, the thing that bothers me too here, right? He originally wanted to add the thing sometime in the future. To me, that doesn't work either.
No.
Because in early
70s,
70s, 80s New York, that to me, and listen, we were all born in mid 80s, early 80s and stuff. right? That's believable to us in New York that there was that many gangs at that time. Because if you were in New York at that time, shit was crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You know, and for me, adding some time in the future, again, it takes you out of the realism of the movie. You know.
So let me ask you this: me and Tara recently did a Friday the 13th like kind of retrospective. We talked about Jason Takes Manhattan, which is obviously
garbage.
I'm
sorry.
The one where he goes to New York.
Yeah.
And Tara has always had a problem with the way that movie's portraying New York, like dirty, like we're just dirty, disgusting.
What year
people.
that movie came out?
Like what that year? 1989.
Come on, New York was
right, but like I mean,
grimy.
they show these scenes and they're like. Everything has
like
graffiti on it. There's like drums of toxic waste in the streets. Everybody's a crackhead.
Right. Yeah, they OD.
So it's they kind of go too far with it. So I don't know how you feel about.
They did go too far. You're right about that.
It's funny. So when I was in film school, one of my papers was about representations of New York in films, and I referenced Jason Takes Manhattan because in the middle of Times Square, there's like a group of punks just chilling.
Yeah.
And he runs over the boombox.
That's the best part of it.
And they look at him. He just turns around like, all right, man, all right. You know, it's like come on. Listen, was it bad back then? Yes, but it wasn't that serious.
Right, it wasn't.
Where you're afraid to, you're afraid to walk in the middle of Times Square.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You know, the reason why people didn't go to Times Square is because there was a number of porno theaters that were there. Mm-hmm. It wasn't because the punks were just chilling. You know what I mean? I mean, is there a more iconic vest than the Warriors right here? I mean,
I would wear one.
I've been trying to recreate this look for Halloween
for like Halloween.
Yeah,
really?
The real vest with the leather, it costs about like $200. Like,
I believe it.
The one I saw like maybe 2 years ago was $200 and some change for the real vest.
That's a lot of money.
Not even like nothing else, just a vest.
Wait a minute. I would pay $200 for that vest.
Yeah, I would too.
I'd make it myself. DIY Warriors vest.
Classic 70s theme.
Well, synthesizers, right?
Yeah,
I mean, is that not total 70s, late 70s, early 80s here?
I was kind of sad we didn't see more of.
Cleon's a big actor.
Yeah.
Also in the 80s as well for being the leader. But you know what? That's a trope of Walter Hill, getting rid of the leader. In the early movies.
This would be your group right now.
Yeah, right.
Purple vest and khaki pants, and some hat.
Look at these job turkeys, right? Yo, during this movie, real gangs was coming to the set and wanted to fight.
Everybody.
Yeah, because
that's true.
they was treating everybody like clowns. You know what I'm saying? The way how the costumes look, they was like, yo, you trying to make us look stupid?
They actually hired a real gang.
Back in the 70s, they was dressing like that. So
I mean, but listen. Does
nobody dressing up as mimes?
Yeah.
Is nobody not dressing up in baseball uniforms at the time? I mean, let's but.
Oh, you trying to? That's
no,
right there, man.
But at the time, right, like they hired the Mongrels, which is a real live brand, to actually protect the production trucks of the set, and rightfully so. The Turnbull ACs walk into a White Castle or a fast food joint, right? And they got scared because they thought that they were. I mean, the Savage Huns here. We're going off on a tangent here, but
I forgot about them.
So the Turnbull ACs walk into a burger joint, and everybody leaves because they thought they were a legitimate gang. I mean, so not so many look that ridiculous. You know what I mean? If you look at those guys,
but that mime group looked ridiculous.
Oh, the mime group, yeah. But look, you have guys with jackets, electric eliminates. They all look like bowlers.
See, that's cool though. But that's cool.
That's like Electric Boogaloo right there. With those jackets on.
The satin jackets just remind me of bowling.
They took the New York.
I'm pretty sure they're in a bowling league at this point.
They took the New York gang style way out of proportion.
Okay, here's a good thing. Who's the worst warrior in your opinion?
Oh, can I? This guy, what's his name?
Rembrandt?
He's terrible.
No,
he's there for no reason.
Stop it.
He's there for no reason. First of all, he doesn't fight. Second of all, his tag up game is like whack.
First of all, he makes a W. How can you even say that it's a tag up game is wrong?
Do you remember how New York was with the graffiti? You seen all the nice graffiti? He just make a W. It's like, ooh, scary. The Warriors.
Yeah, that means the Warriors were there. All right?
I don't like that. I don't like it.
I'll tell you right now. So for years I thought it was Rembrandt too, and I was in Greens with you, right? When I watched it again back when we talked about this 40th anniversary, I watched it again. You know who's actually the worst? It's Cowboy. Cowboy is the worst warrior because all he does
gets punched.
All he does is run. And Ajax has to save his life a bunch of times. I can't run no more. And then this guy, Cowboy, is the worst, hands down. And as we watch this, if I could sway you guys to think that Cowboy is the worst guy, let me know. I'll tell you right now.
He's definitely there, being the worst warrior. That's right. He gets punched and he just sits there on the grass like, duh,
Maybe. But I feel like the guy, and I don't know his name. But the one with the parted hair?
Oh, Snow. That's Snow. He's great.
But is he like he's probably the one that people think of the least, I think.
He does because he's just very reserved. He's quiet.
Yeah. He doesn't say a lot.
But again, one of the low key heroes of the movie.
Yeah, he does fight.
He fights, man.
Right, so
he fights his ass off.
I take it back, man.
Yeah, he fights, man.
I take it back.
Cowboy, he gets clapped up and he just sits there.
Cowboy literally does nothing in this movie.
That's
He is
crazy.
useless. At least Rembrandt sprays some stuff in the eyes. He throws a punch. Then he protects himself because he got stabbed or slashed. I'm telling you, it's totally different. So this intercutting of introducing
This is awesome.
more of the well-known gangs and with the subway, and then cutting it back to Coney Island talking. And here's the line here of Ajax. You're going. I'm not going to say it, but you know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, it's one of the iconic lines that if they try to remake this movie today,
it wouldn't work.
Would not fly in the slightest.
Yeah, it wouldn't work. So this movie came out, and it was blasted by critics when it originally came out. But right now it sits at an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, and an 88% audience score. So one of the few movies that, as of today, critics and audiences kind of agree on. But back then when it was released, the critics absolutely hated this movie. And they said that it glorified gang violence, which is why they hated it.
Well, given the time it was made, probably. But, you know, it's one of those movies that you watch years later, it's like, oh man, it's ahead of its time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, you think about this though. In the interim, right? It grossed what 16.4 million, and it was only estimated to make 4 to 7 million. Right. And it probably would have made more, but they pulled all the advertising for it because I think two people died in New York and one in Chicago from violence and stuff like that. You know, so then people, you know, there was backlash for it, as with, you know, any movie. And it's funny too that we're talking about this. I don't know if you guys realized the movie The Hunt that just got canceled because of backlash and stuff like that.
I heard about that.
Think about that. Yeah. Think if the Warriors were releasing this time, what probably would have happened? Probably would have been maybe canceled as well because of the violence and the way they portray people and, you know, the language that's used in it. You know, so think about this movie way ahead of its time. Probably wouldn't fly today, honestly.
It wouldn't, but I just feel like...
Especially the language. To like it,
the language, definitely the language. But
a lot of stuff
like,
in it.
I'm not one to buy into the narrative that movies and video games create violence. You know, like I think that you need to know that this is just it's fiction, right? Even though it's based on somewhat reality, yes, there were real gangs in New York. I get it, but Cyrus, classic, right?
Cyrus is the man.
But I just feel like we need to watch it and realize it's just a movie.
A lot of people forget about that. You know, they forget it's just a movie. You know?
Yeah.
I think it's the problem. Yeah, it's a big problem right now. That you know, and I think now like this stuff right here, it's like it's escapism. You know what I mean? You're watching this. Imagine if New York actually existed with like a million gangs. You know, for me, I don't look at this and want to go out and form a gang and destroy stuff.
And that's my point.
You know what I mean? Like,
you know, when they was doing this scene,
I'm not gonna put on my.
They had like 50 cop cars around because people try to come in.
To fight.
Yeah, they try to come in.
The real gangs are trying to fight them.
And they actually did this scene like so late in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
So you know, a lot of people won't come through. So I don't know what time they did it, but it was very early in the morning, probably like 3 o'clock in the morning.
I'll tell you this: look, is there a more iconic scene, opening scene besides that? Right after the subway, when you introduce all the gangs, you introduce the Warriors.
Excellent.
And this guy's speech, if this doesn't get you amped up, turn this movie off right now. Because like I watched this, I remember watching it in bed next to my wife, and I got up out of my bed and was like, I love this movie. What took me so long to watch it
you
again?
got out of bed to say that, like,
yeah,
I love this movie.
I literally got up and was like, can you dig it? Like, it was over, man. It's so good, man. Come on. Man.
And he's not the same character in the book either. He was changed.
I heard.
So.
But I think it was funny too, right? Saul Urich wrote the book as a counterpoint to West Side Story, right? Because he felt like West Side Story romanticized gangs, and he wanted to say, no, this is what gangs are really like.
This is what they.
All right.
Hear it?
Okay. The Can You Dig It scene has to be in the top 5 scenes of all scenes in movie history. I'm sorry.
I used to hear people say that all the time when I was young. Like, this is like early 90s, you know? But I never saw the movie until like, what year? Maybe 2000?
When the game first came out.
Oh,
so I remember we were okay,
right.
So the funny thing is, right, so how we introduced to this movie, maybe it's I don't know if it's a good segue to go into right here.
Yeah, no.
But
me and you, Eric, found it by accident. like late at night, just on TV, and we were like, "What is this?"
So it's funny. So the precursor to that is when Best Buy was actually like a good store and had like good movies you could buy.
Now it's just garbage.
Yeah, now it's hot garbage. But they used to have a $10 section.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk into me and my dad all the time. So my parents are divorced. My dad used to take me to Best Buy. We go to movies. We're in this $10 section, and I'm like, I pick up this movie, and I'm like, what the hell's The Warriors? And my dad snatches it out of my hand and goes, I'm buying it right now. And I'm like, what the hell is The Warriors?
Yeah.
And we sit in the car, and as he's driving me back to my mom's house, he literally breaks down the entire plot of the movie. And I'm like, this movie sounds awesome. Cut to maybe a few weeks later, it's me and Chris hanging out with our friend Anthony. It's like a Friday, Saturday night. Mm-hmm. We're clicking through the channels, and we come across Cinemax. It's late, and we're like... And then...
Cinemax is late?
Yeah, but then
you had The Warriors on?
I know.
Whoa.
There was no Cinemax on. Surprisingly, no porno on, which is great.
That's what I'm like, hey.
And both of them were like, what the hell's The Warriors? And I'm like, dude, you got to put this movie on. My dad told me about it. It was this. We watch it, and it was like love at first sight.
Yeah, it was like the greatest thing
and we were like, yo, this movie's amazing.
When you like...
Right, so then this is now, what, years later now, out of high school and everything like that. Me and Boogs are at a GameStop, the GameStop in Highland Plaza in Staten Island, for those of you listening in Staten Island.
That's right, yeah.
We walk in, and on the cover of the Game Informer, there's a video game version of The Warriors. And I ran over and grabbed this magazine, and I go, holy shit, they're making a Warriors game? He goes, what do you mean The Warriors? I'm like, you've never watched The Warriors? He's like,
I never saw it.
He's like, I've heard of it, but
never saw it.
And I was like, I lived like 5 minutes away from that GameStop. Like, we're going right back to the house right now. We're playing the movie. I had it on DVD at that point. Right back to the house. We watched it that same night.
Yeah, we got some beers, of course.
Yeah,
we got beers.
You cannot watch this movie and not have some beers.
We got beers.
We got some right now.
Yeah, and we get some beers. We go to the house. We watch it that night. Same thing with him.
I loved it immediately.
And
how could you not?
And when the game came out, they were like, I remember I was working at Toys R Us at the time. Here's Luther right here. Here's David Patrick Kelly, he has a great curly hair by the hair. I don't know if anyone else agrees. Mm-hmm. I mean, the volume of that hair.
There's a lot of volume in the hair.
Very sweaty too. I don't know. It must have been very hot that summer. I don't know.
Now Cyrus is about to get shot.
There it is. The arms say it all.
Yo,
and the
that
echo
was
of the
a good shot.
It was a good shot.
That was like a great shot.
I mean, and he falls right through the stage here. And here, our guy here, is this the Fox?
That's Fox.
Yes.
Real name
Tom Waits?
Tom Waits.
Yeah.
Actually witnesses Luther killing Cyrus, which I kind of forgot about.
He does because, I mean, I feel like it's funny because this movie is very much a tale of two halves. Mm-hmm. In the first half of the movie, in addition to Swan, you feel like Fox is one of the main characters of the movie also.
That's
and then
why
in the second
like
half, it suddenly changes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know? Especially with, I mean, spoiler alert, but when the Fox dies, it's very sudden. And then it's just the whole premise is on Swan at that point.
I can't wait for that scene because
when
when we get to that scene, I'm going to point something out. And I laugh all the time I see it.
And we'll also, we'll wait for that scene to talk about why that is too, why it's so sudden. But also at this time, 1979, when this movie came out, there was a rival movie called The Wanderers. Did you ever see that?
No, I've actually never seen
that. I heard about that. I heard about that.
That's another good gang movie. It's not... The Warriors is more famous, but The Wanderers is definitely a good watch.
Worthless, this guy.
Well, it's funny that you said that. Yes.
Rembrandt?
I can't stand him. I know he's the youngest one out of the crew,
How old are they supposed to be? Teenagers?
I mean, I'm going to say teenagers because when you play the actual game, the Rockstar game that came out later, they talk about their, and even in the movie too, I think they talk about their social worker, like trying to do stuff. I think they're supposed to be teenagers here, but...
Right.
Did you play the game yesterday? Because I don't remember that part.
No, if you watch the movie when they run into the orphans, they mention it also. But they're supposed to be young kids, even though Cleon looks like he's 35.
Yeah,
So let's talk about this scene here where Cleon gets a bunch of elbows thrown on him. They literally drop bows on him, right? The riffs literally look. If you just look at him in this scene, they're literally just dropping bows. Look right here. Look, 1, 2, 3. But it's like 7 guys just throwing bows on him because they have nothing else to do.
But they was more like a karate game.
They were, yeah.
It seemed like they're wearing, 7 of them are wearing gis and stuff.
Yeah.
He gets hit with a sidekick.
Karate was very popular in the 70s.
In the 70s, it was the whole kung fu boom.
Yeah, man.
And I'm a big fan of the 70s kung fu movie, like the Shaw Brothers.
Yeah,
I have a lot of those on DVD.
Really?
Yeah. And the 5 Deadly Venoms.
Really?
I got it.
You have to lend me a few. I've actually never seen a lot of the more popular ones.
Yeah, no, I'll lend you. And they're
you
also,
gotta see them. They're great.
If you have Netflix, there's some on there, and Amazon Prime has a lot too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wu-Tang takes some of that stuff too.
That's where Wu-Tang got all the stuff
takes
from.
some of that, yeah.
So complete chaos now in this scene.
I mean, you got the cops with the riot gear. They're trying to beat the guys back. They're trying to arrest people. The Warriors end up making it out and escaping into a cemetery.
You know how they got the extras?
Talk to me.
They put up signs, like on telephone poles and things like that, and they counted. They needed like, I don't know the exact number, but they needed, let's just say 80. It was a huge number, obviously from the scene.
Yeah.
They counted, and then that was it. Like whoever was there.
That's a cattle call.
Yeah. That was it. Just for that scene alone.
Right.
So they dressed them up, or they said get something, and everybody started doing what they had to do. Remember, this is the 70s, so everybody already had like gangs like stuff.
Yeah.
But you couldn't wear your official gang colors.
Right.
You had to wear what was on, for the movie.
Oh, a lot of gangs were pissed off too. I think the way they were filming. I mean, at one point, like they're getting pissed on from the buildings and stuff like that.
I'm telling you,
they're getting stuff thrown at them. Because people don't want them. Literally, I mean, you're on their turf, right? It doesn't matter if you're filming a movie or not. Nowadays, those kids will probably come over and be like, "Oh man, what you filming?" But it really doesn't matter. There you go. I was hauling ass. See, that was my guy. See? Come on.
I don't know. I was holding ass.
I don't know about you, man. I was hauling ass. The funny thing is, right? I didn't know a lot of these gang names, the different gangs, until the video game came out. Like we talked about the Savage Huns that are on the subway. Did we really know? I mean, you see them for about 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Like them, the Rogues, the Baseball Furies, the Lizzies, and them and stuff like that.
Like, the New York City gangs, and they usually dress like that. Not that crazy, like.
And no one's wearing face paint and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
No one was doing that.
Yeah, I don't think
they would just wear like vests or like a bandana, something.
I'm gonna have to play the game. I've never played the game.
The game is
you never played the game. The game is awesome.
That's fantastic. I mean, now in the era of 4K and Xbox One and PS4, it's gonna look so dated. But it was so much fun at the time. Rockstar created it, so I mean, familiar with Rockstar with their games, they're really good.
And the camera view is gonna be horrible.
Oh yeah, that's
it.
Oh god.
Back then it was like cool, because we was used to it, but you playing the Xbox One, the PS4 camera angles, and then you go all the way back to PS2, it's going to be a hard sight to look at.
Of course, Ajax starting trouble because he wants to be the leader, and Swan is the next in line.
Swan, very reserved, and all he says is, and then he tells me to make a move. And that's it. Either do something, either talk about it or be about it. It's fantastic.
Which one is that guy now?
That's Vermin.
Yeah.
Vermin, okay.
Yeah, who's like the comedic relief of the Warriors.
Yeah,
so
that's funny because
Vermin. All right, so that was supposed to be Tony Danza.
Tony Danza?
Yep.
Really? That's really interesting.
Way.
They wanted Tony Danza. Yeah.
But
Tony Danza was doing Taxi at the time, so he couldn't do it.
Really? I'll throw one back at you. Robert De Niro was supposed to be Cowboy.
Really?
They offered him the role and he turned it down.
That I didn't know. Wow, that's crazy.
And that would have been.
I'm not gonna get,
well, thank God, because Cowboy sucks.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Robert De Niro would have made it cool.
He would have never made it.
Tagging somebody's tombstone.
W.
That's terrible.
The W means that the Warriors were there.
I understand what the W.
All right.
It just looks so
That's
plain.
The best tag I've ever seen.
Anybody could do that. Anybody could do that. You supposed to like.
Damn
So
right.
there you go with the first comic transition.
Somewhere in Gramercy Park.
You like that?
Yeah.
I don't like it. I feel like it takes it out of the realism. What I need right now, do I really need a picture of a guy pushing the button to go down?
You're reaching.
Just show me the elevator.
You're reaching.
No, come on. That's bad, man. And then we get the riffs. This guy looks so militant. He has the sparkly jacket with no shirt underneath. And he has his aviators.
The way he talks is like so like robotic and just over the top.
What do you
mean? A lot of emphasis. All I can ever do is picture his gums in his teeth when he talks. He's like, I want them all. And it's like, that really gets me going.
I want all the world. And his whole body like moves. Like,
if you didn't know, the riffs are spray painted against the wall over there.
You see how they did that?
They all got karate gis on for the most part, right? I mean,
it's a big thing.
Yeah,
Big thing.
So now, obviously, he's telling them that, here we go.
Riffs, yeah, right.
Because they're upset that Cyrus was killed.
Right.
And he wants to know. Did it.
Well, because Luther said it's the warrior. I saw him.
Right.
Yeah.
But who Who was Cyrus actually?
He was like the leader. Like,
Cyrus was the guy.
He was like the head guy. Like
he was
the biggest gang.
So if you want to think of it in terms of like, let's say the Italian mafia, right? He was the boss of bosses.
He was the boss of bosses.
He was like the Godfather, more or less, right? He wanted to unite everybody. He gets killed. That's his second in command. Let's say, is I want to say consigliere of sorts. Maybe it's just a second in command. Right. And then the iconic line, "Who are the warriors?" See how emphasis? You see, like, and then his head nod too. The warriors, if not wasted. It's perfect.
But he means business,
right?
Yeah,
that's why it's like.
Business.
That's why it's like.
Yeah,
I'm gonna kill
business.
all those guys.
Those glasses are awesome.
So let's get into this scene here. Here's Lynn Thigpen, the disc jockey. If you do not know who that person is by looking at her nose and lower jaw, get out of here.
Clearly,
it's her to a T. I love this lady, by the way. She has this great voice. Mm-hmm. And see, why I say the comic book panel takes me out of it is because you already have her as your narrator who kind of transitions between the scenes.
Yeah, so you don't need it.
Right? And you don't need those things. You don't need those to transition because she's that transition. She plays the music. She narrates what just happened, what's about to happen, more or less. You know what I mean? So why do I need a comic book splash to tell me like, oh, hey, this guy's gonna press a button to go for the elevator to go down? You get what I'm saying?
But when the movie came out, obviously that comic book.
It wasn't in there.
No, it wasn't.
This is just like directors.
But that's why I say give me the original any day. Like this one right here.
It's killing you.
Not that it kills me, but if I have a choice between the original and the director's cut, the 2007 version or 2006, excuse me, I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with the original every time because the original it's just more realistic with that stuff. Like you could picture yourself like the guy right here. He's walking with a boombox on his ear. Typical 80s, late 70s, right?
These guys are the worst too. They're on their roller skates.
Oh my god!
I don't even know. What are they called? Anybody know what
these guys look like? They could be a gang.
No, the Rogues are Luther's gang. These guys with the overalls, I used to call them the Farmer Johns, but I'm pretty sure they're not. That's what they're called.
Would you say?
They're just Farmer Johns here.
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, I don't know if that's what they're actually called, but
it's funny. So basically, this scene is right here. They ducking and dodging from the cops. They ducking and dodging for the gangs. I want to know how the Warriors know that everybody's after them, though. They didn't have a radio. They didn't have anything.
I think they just assumed because, Cleon was beat up. The guy Luther pointed him out in front of everybody. So they were like, here's your group right here, Baseball Furies.
There it is.
But they look ridiculous.
They do, but they look scary. The mask, and they have a bat. That's what it is.
But I think the Warriors are just like they know that they're in trouble. Mm-hmm. So we got to get back to our turf.
Mm-hmm. But they don't know. The Warriors don't know that the whole gang is after them. You find that later on in the movie. It's like, yo, everybody's after us. Like, what's going on? They don't know now. They're just trying to get home.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're in somebody's turf, so they're just trying to make it home. But they find out later on, like, yo, everybody's after us.
Yeah.
And all these guys are skinny.
They are skinny, and they're all in shape, too.
Yeah.
I guess that's why they can just wear the vest without any shirt on.
Yeah, without any shirt.
It's not something I would do right now.
If somebody was like, oh, you ain't getting this part, buddy, Real good.
I mean, is it safe to
He's
assume
excellent in this movie.
Lynn Thigpen works for the Riffs? Or she's just like, hey, I'm going to tell everybody what's going on at all moments.
Yeah, that's probably a fair point.
Do you know this part right here when they running from what's this group?
The Turnbull ACs.
When they running from, you actually see the directors, the camera crew on the side.
Yes, you actually do.
Oh, really?
You're right, absolutely right. It's on the right hand side of the screen, I believe.
When they start running, the
you
bus
see them
is
kind of
chasing
just hanging out.
You see the whole camera crew and everybody's like this, like they just standing there.
I mean, it's
waving,
one of those
like it's crazy.
One of those bloopers you probably don't realize because they probably thought they were underneath the L tracks at the time, so they didn't think so.
Yeah.
All right, so we're talking about the Baseball Furies being scared, right? Scary, excuse me. Imagine a group of just in a school bus. And like they're hanging out the sides, they're on the roof, they have weapons, and they're just patrolling the streets. Now, if you're not the Warriors at this time, you're just a regular guy. I mean,
I'd be scared. Bro.
I mean, seriously, is that not menacing at all?
It's scary. It's scary. But do we think that? I know we talked before about like real life gangs and stuff. Was that actually going on?
I don't know. I don't think so. But at the same time, the way they're dressed, their demeanor, the way they are. I think the Turnbull ACs in terms of realistic gangs probably looked the part the most. The hanging out of the school bus. First of all, where'd they get the school bus from? Yeah, of course. So if you want to pick it apart like that, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but that's just nitpicking.
Right. You know, like, but things like this movie, right? Suspended disbelief. You know, like it's like, damn, I could believe it. You know, they just, they jacked the school bus one day and was like, hey, this is our stuff. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, whatever.
They probably really did that back in 1979.
I mean, I don't put it past. I don't put it past them, right? I mean,
the violence and everything was so crazy back then. You know?
Yeah.
Like, they would see your dead body and just keep walking wherever they had to go because it was abandoned buildings, cars that was on fire. For no, like, just to keep warm in the winter. Like, they would burn the garbage.
They're all yelling.
Look, watch.
I mean, that's one of the scariest movies. Yeah, you see it right there. It's very brief. When it's the shot.
They're going to show it again.
It's the shot from behind when the Warriors first come out and they start running and the Turnbull-ACs are yelling. You could actually see the crew on the left-hand side. See the big spotlight right there? That's
the whole crew is there.
That's a fill light right there. Right? But talk about this. You're running for your life trying to make it to the stairs, right?
Somebody eating a sandwich?
Yeah, no, seriously. Somebody's having coffee like, man, I can't wait for this to be over. But like, you're running for your life, right?
Look at that.
Yeah, you see everybody hanging out.
I saw it.
Very blatantly obvious in this scene. A couple times, actually. And then here's Ajax, right? Giving everybody the finger before he runs upstairs. You see me? I'm up that one flight, and I'm dead already. I'm like, yeah, just beat me up, and it's over. These guys are hopping turnstiles.
That guy took a swing at him with that 2x4.
Hold the train. Yeah.
These guys are actually running upstairs. You know, when you're running, you would skip stairs. They actually run on each step.
Yeah, every step.
Like, I would skip like 3 stairs. Like, get out of here.
Not for nothing. They are the fittest gang I've ever met.
They are.
Like,
yeah,
they're like, you know,
they're definitely fit.
All six-pack abs for the most part over here.
Yeah.
They push that part.
Now, if you ever been in a train in New York, right, they're not waiting for you. They would have closed the doors and took off by now. You know, and not to mention the one side that's only open.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just laughing like, yeah, we made it.
Oh, the train was like that, bro.
Very realistic, yes, very realistic.
The trains was like that, man. I remember visiting my grandmother in the Bronx, like in the early 90s, and the trains was looking like that.
So I love Ajax, right? Why'd we run? We could have taken him. All he wants to do is fight this whole movie.
That's why. That's my guy.
And then here's Cowboy. Oh, they were chicken shit to me. Yeah, I hate this guy. Yeah, like you were gonna fight it all. Get out of here with that, man. Always keeping a calm head, right?
So not home yet. When we get, he's right though. When we get there, that's when we made. Like now, celebrate.
Michael Beck Swan was casted in this because of he didn't actually audition. The director saw him in another movie and he was like, "I want him." And that's how.
I mean, you know,
sometimes
I've seen that a lot, honestly, right? I mean, you know, how many people get inspired? Like, I love this guy. Okay, I'm going to write this role specifically for you. Or you would fit this role specifically. See, transitions like this right here. I just heard from the Turnbulls. That's it. You know what I mean? Very simple. From the Turnbulls, they blew it. It's over. That's a good transition. You know, you don't. You know, for me anyway. Again, personal preference here, but that you know, I don't need those panels. I don't need the comic book aspect here.
What happened here? Why is everything on fire?
So you have to assume here that another gang set fire to that track to make sure they don't get back, right? Where are the Warriors out of? Oh, they're out of Coney Island. Let's make sure they don't make it and set fire to it. But the thing is, you don't know which gang set the fire.
Yeah.
The Orphans.
Right? Nah, it can't be the Orphans.
I know.
Gotta be the wackest.
They gotta be the wackest gang.
They're the worst gang in the history of gang movies, right? I mean, this is talking about the Jets and the Sharks from.
But doesn't the leader look like Ross from Friends?
No, he doesn't.
The Orphans?
With that crazy eye?
Every time I see
him, crazy eye,
he kind of looks like him. He reminds me of him for some reason.
This poor girl, she wants to do is work her newsstand, and they're gonna come in here and take all the candy.
Yeah, these are the rogues. Yeah.
Don't mind that sound. It's not what you think it is. It's sorry, it's right against the microphone. I feel like I need to preface it. So you have to assume that Luther is not actually the leader of the gang, right? Who is he talking to here? Right? Is he talking to his boss?
That's true.
Is he talking to the Riffs? Because the Riffs know about it. They were there, right?
Yeah.
So it has to be that they sent him as, you know, a representative. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to shoot Cyrus, see what happens, you know?
So do you think he's like the captain of this group?
I would say he's a captain, right? Maybe he's a shot caller, right?
So how would you handle him when he comes back? You find out that he's the one who did it.
If you find out he's the one who did it, and when the Riffs eventually get to him, right? Yeah. You're not going to retaliate. You're going to be like, it is what it is. You were told to come in peace and end the story, right? I mean, that's what it is. I mean, right there, he's absolutely right too, right? I mean, they're looking for the Warriors. He just wants to causing chaos. He just wants to disrupt the order that's going on.
See, no one's like talking back to him. So he has to be like in charge of those guys.
How late do you figure this is, right? It has to be like 12 o'clock at night, right?
They always, I'm telling you, they did everything
What
right.
newsstand is open at this time? See this right here? It takes me out of it. What a good scene. And then, here's the comic book panel. Meanwhile, don't need it.
Reaching. It doesn't look bad, bro.
Reaching nothing. I didn't say it was bad. It just takes me out of the moment. Here are the worst gang ever.
Here's the Orphans.
Here's the Orphans.
To me, the guy looked like Ross from Friends every time I see him.
If you agree here, does anybody think he looks like David Schwimmer?
He looks like a broke, like Ross, to me.
That's funny.
See, he was like the cold star of this guy, man.
No, I'm saying, like, he was like the second in command, if you think about it, right? Mm-hmm. Swan's the war chief. He was the guy. And it's just, this whole first half of the movie, you would assume that it's them two again with the Warriors against whoever, you know?
Yeah.
And it just, that's what it is. I mean, we'll get into that after, but definitely like a tale of two halves here.
It is a nice vest that the Warriors have.
And actually not real leather, for those of you at home that are wondering. Fake leather here. Faux leather.
Faux leather.
So Apache, I think his name is Apache Williams here with the fro, right? One of the more famous members of the war, Orphans. They're still in the convention circuit and stuff. More famously, just recently on Jericho's podcast, actually talking about the Warriors.
Oh, that was the guy?
Yeah, okay. The one with the fro. The second one from the leader.
You know what, Sean?
Now I'm gonna
right.
Yeah, see?
Right.
He looks like a broke Ross. Look at him.
Oh my God, he really does.
Yo, I'm telling you.
You know what? I'm gonna give you that. He really does.
Listen up, folks. Watch the Warriors. Fast forward to like the Orphans part, and I'm telling you, the guy look like Ross from Friends.
I'm just waiting for him to say Rachel now at some point, and that's just oh God.
Look at him.
He really does.
He looks like a crackhead Ross.
There's gotta be no worse feeling than if you're in their shoes, if you're a gang, and you're on our turf, and they're like, we don't care about you because you're just so irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but you're on our turf, you gotta respect us. And they're just like, whatever, like, we're out of here.
Of course you don't.
Yeah, see, how could this be a big meeting if we weren't there? They weren't even invited to the site.
Yeah, they wasn't even invited.
Oh, you don't think we're with it? And like, no, you're not.
Like, you guys are bums.
And he literally just said solo on the totem pole. Like no one knows about you guys. And I feel bad for this guy because he thinks that they're a top level gang. It's like, no.
Look at them, they bums. The face this guy makes is like hilarious. Why? So this scene right here, they showing the Warriors like what they do in the street, but it's like
it's like a newspaper article.
Yeah, it's like who gives a shit?
Yeah, he's just like when he rolls his eyes. No, I can't get it out of my head now. That he does look like
I'm telling you,
crackhead and Ross. And there's Mercy.
Just stirring up trouble.
Even this shirt, like it's like somebody took like those letters you would buy at like Michael's and just kind of ironed them on this.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. This girl, she must be the dirtiest female I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, she looks filthy.
No, I don't want to disrespect the female, and I will hold them to the end to tell you why I cannot stop staring at every time she's on the screen. But
I know.
Well, I mean, it's for anybody who's seen this movie. You can see her chest straight through her shirt.
Well, no, it's not even that.
I think I know what Eric's talking about.
Okay, so he had a guess. Can you take it? What is it?
Her mustache?
Thank you. Yes, it is. Yes. I cannot stop staring at her upper lip throughout the whole movie. And I don't even know it's because her upper lip is curled up so much. Maybe it gives you a hint of
she has full lips.
Maybe
so
it's not. It's not, but I just see it, and it's like, like I don't know.
Then again, you know, you're looking at HD, you know, so it's more clear. Back then, you probably didn't see it, you know. So basically, she's telling
the leader of the she's basically shaming him right now.
Yeah,
like putting him down.
Like, and pretty much they're going to be like, hey, if you come in peace, we're good. And now she, trying to be that girl who's pushing him, says like, hey, you're gonna let them just walk past. Again, doesn't mean I'm marked, doesn't mean we're at war. And all of a sudden he wants to be a tough guy.
Yeah, because
and Swan's like,
the dirty girl was actually saying like,
dirty girl.
She looks horrible, bro.
Nah, she does.
Though. But you know what though? In her defense, Mercy is a G in this movie.
She is.
As the movie progresses.
Yeah, she is. She definitely has guts.
Mm-hmm. I would not touch her.
Yeah, you would. I got it. So forgive the silence, but we're just watching this scene here with the Warriors kind of squaring off with the Orphans. They're trying to get through the Orphans' territory on their trek home.
Because they know they punks and they're not a real gang.
They know the Orphans are punks, but the Orphans are like, you got to respect us. And they're like, no, we don't.
So the dirty girl is basically trying to call out the Warriors, and they're not hearing her. They just want to get home.
Yeah, they just want. And she winds up following them.
Yo, man, you got to realize, look, we just said it before. These guys, they're wearing a vest, they're in shape. They look like, they're not worried about anything,
They look like a legit gang.
Yeah, they look like a legit gang, yeah. They walking with a swag, They walking through somebody's territory like it's nothing. So she sees that, They
definitely all walk with that swagger.
Look at them. They all walking like they don't care about nothing. They just, no one can look at this guy.
Cochise is the man.
He's walking with that jive walk.
No. I was just going to say that. He has that jive walk going on. He has that head nod going on. He reminds me of D'Lo Brown a little bit for you wrestling fans out there.
That's funny. Wow.
And then why is Mercy following them? I don't know, because she was probably like,
intrigued.
She was intrigued, yeah.
Very intrigued. The guys I'm with suck. I'm going to see what these guys are up to.
Yeah,
I don't like crackhead bros. Let me see this guy.
Yeah. I literally had to tell the guy to not to press the people that are on your turf. Let me see what's up with them. I mean,
yo, wasn't she on ER? She was on an episode of ER things.
Oh, now you're going to make me look that up.
Really? I'm telling you, look it up. She was on a show on ER.
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know if it's ER, but I know it was
I'll tell you, ER is one of my favorite shows.
It was like a hospital show. And she was like, I don't know if she was like dead or unconscious. She was something. And I was like, yo, that's the chick. That's the dirty chick from Warriors.
That's
the dirty chick from the Warriors.
She was on like some hospital show, some TV show. And
she was on ER.
I told you.
Oh, man, you're right.
All right, man. Yeah.
Now I can see.
Now I'm going to go back and watch it. And here's Ajax. Whose first thought is I'm going to rape this chick. Which is like, dude, really? Like, can you chill out?
This movie, 1979.
But again,
they look like it's not raping chick is not a problem.
But in the context of the movie, right? I mean, these guys are, as much as you want to root for the Warriors, they're kind of bad guys.
Yeah, 100%. Right? They're a gang. Yeah.
And even Swan mentions, well, maybe we should run a train on you. You might like it. They're not good
guys.
They're not good guys. Right? I'm saying
they're not good guys.
As much as you want to cheer for them, they're not. And I feel like if they were to remake this movie today, they were trying to almost make them like heroes when they're not. They're more anti-heroes. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't like us because we're bad guys, but we're gonna just do what we can to make sure we make it home. You know what I mean? Like.
And speaking of remakes, we'll touch on that. We'll circle back to that. But watching this now, what are these? The Orphans now come running up.
Yeah,
I guess they're ready
with their straight edge razors. Yeah.
Who would you see yourself as in the Warriors?
Oh wow. See, I feel like I'm a mix. I mean, we're gonna rain on you. Yeah. This is for Rachel, guys.
I think I'm. What's his name? The guy that you said is holding ass. I think.
Cochise.
That's me.
That's you.
Yeah. See, I feel like I'm a mix of Swan and Snow.
So the Orphans are trying to,
right? I mean,
fight the Warriors. The Warriors are going to throw a Molotov cocktail at the car there.
And they throw it at the car. The car sets on fire and explodes. And the Orphans are like, "Oh damn, that car's on fire. These guys are real. We're gonna walk away."
Somebody just got blown
back. Yeah.
Ajax, wasn't he rated in Mortal Kombat 2?
He was. Mortal Kombat Annihilation. You're absolutely right.
He was.
Oh my god, what a terrible video game movie that is. Right? Jeez. Going back to your previous podcast about bad video games.
Episode about bad
right?
Video, yeah.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation, hot garbage.
Yeah, it was so bad.
You did a review on that?
You're on the.
You did a review on that movie?
Not on that movie, but we did a whole episode of video game movies.
Ooh,
oh man,
we can do Mortal Kombat if you
want
want to.
Was Alone in the Dark on there? Because
we mentioned it because it's like 1% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's hot garbage.
Oh my god,
there's a hot garbage movie. It's there. Just in general, just bad movies.
I think I might see myself as like. I mean, I'm always inclined to say Swan because he's obviously the leader, but
and Debonair.
Yeah, but I consider myself like.
Yes.
Yeah. I always consider myself like laid back and just kind of like
you're laid
just
back
going
guy.
with it.
Yeah.
So like
same.
You know,
that's why I say a mix of Snow and Swan because Swan if he needs to take the lead, Swan takes the lead. Me, I let things happen when they happen, man.
That's not.
I'm not getting in the mix. I'll be like, but if I have to get in the mix, then I gotta turn my Swan.
Snow's a little bit quiet.
No, I say a mix.
You gotta pick somebody, bro.
No, I said a mix.
You gotta pick somebody.
I took them both and combined them into one character. I am the Megazord of Swan and Snow here. All right, here we go. Here's another great transition. See what I mean? Awesome. They just made it by a minor league team. And then you have Luther again with another telling you like what's going on, what they just did.
And you don't know who he's talking to.
Right, exactly. I'm assuming that it has to be their
leader,
war chief, right? I mean,
makes
he
sense.
sent his second in command. Let's assume that Luther is the second in command of the Rogues.
Because no one tells him no. Like he's like the captain of these guys.
He's a great thing. Crawling with caps.
I want to play the
That's
game.
all it's right here.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to try the game.
I can't believe you never played the game. It's so
That's
good.
another good line.
Yeah, I'm having a good time. And the funny thing that their car is a Cadillac hearse. It's a Cadillac, but it's an actual hearse.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the big
It is
back
a
like
hearse,
that, yeah.
And it's
That's
of course
pretty funny.
covered in graffiti.
Right.
Back in New York, man. Those days.
But even their car, like the Rogue's car, was covered. in graffiti.
Yeah. But at the 96th Street station here, right, that the cars just stop. How many times have you been on a subway in Manhattan where a car just stops, you open the doors, and you're like, when the hell are we gonna leave?
Yeah,
you know, like, that's very believable as well.
Yeah,
that happens all the time.
Right.
Yeah. 96th Street, Manhattan. That's what they're
Right.
Yeah.
So they go through the Bronx, Manhattan, and Brooklyn.
And I actually been on that street, and it still looks like when they're coming out.
Right.
It still looks like that. Well, it looked more like present time.
Yeah.
But it's the shape and everything's the same.
That's funny too, right? The slow footsteps. Who is it? You don't know. Is it another gang? Right? And they're just all listening. They're waiting, right? And it's just that anticipation.
Is one of the hoodest dudes there.
But I love the fact that it's like all you hear is the footsteps, nothing else. Right? It's an empty train station. Right? Who is it?
Yeah, yep.
It could be anybody else, and then it's a cop. Let's get the hell out of here, right? And it's like, hey, if it was a gang, we'd take them on, but no, it's the cops. We need to go because they're gonna arrest us. See, and here's Ajax again taunting the police.
This right here, they didn't have to run because the cop. As you see, before they start running, all they do is look
down the stairs.
Kick the cop down the stairs.
All the cops doing is just looking in the window. They would just say, "Oh, there they go." They didn't have to run.
But think about the climate that you're in, right? At this particular point in New York, let's say, that's running with gangs, they're probably just looking to arrest anybody, right? You have colors on, we're going to arrest you. You know, I mean, that's the assumption, right?
So yeah, we're coming up to the scene right now. So
the guy in the cap here, right here, that's actually Walter Hill.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a little cameo by him. I'm sorry, continue.
Tom Waits, who plays Fox. This is going to be the last time that we see him.
That's crazy because he was like the co-star.
He was supposed to be the and he was actually supposed to have a romance with Mercy's character.
Right.
Really?
The Mercy character. Yeah, it was supposed to be him and her.
He's absolutely right.
But Tom Waits.
That wasn't
Tom Waits and the director, and here we
this
go.
Isn't Tom Waits. This isn't Tom Waits.
It's not
either.
Tom Waits. Go ahead.
Right.
This scene right here, when he gets, thrown into the tracks, he actually bounces. So it's like a mattress there.
Really?
But it's
look.
But it's not him either. It's
not him.
Of course not. Watch. See how high he is?
Yeah,
he actually it's like something's there.
So now Fox has been killed off. He's been run over by the train.
Yeah.
But the reason why that happened, and the reason why he was kind of written out of the story, was Tom Waits, the actor, had a beef with the director, and this is according to what is written out there.
The
director offered him a drink, and he said no, and the director like had beef with him because of it. So he was like, so that created tension on the set. And then the director decided, I'm going to kill him off. Here are the baseball Furies.
See, okay. So let me talk about this scene right here before we continue with the Tom Waits thing, right? So they just had a transition where Ajax says, holy shit, it's a comic book panel. And then it goes to another panel that says the baseball Furies. That just takes you out of it. Who are these guys? I never knew they were the baseball Furies until I played the game. I never knew the name of the actual gang. These guys have baseball uniforms on. They have makeup. That's the thing that bothers me here. Holy shit. Oh, it's the baseball Furies. When they come out of the train station...
It still looks like that, but new bricks. New bricks.
But it's like they're breathing heavy. What the hell's going on? And they look over and they see the baseball Furies twirling the bats.
We gotta run,
That original scene is iconic. It's so good. For you to have a comic book panel that says, "Oh, it's the baseball Furies," that's it. It's so bad for me.
I get what you're saying.
Again, personal preference.
I was just about to say that.
But for me,
I was just about to say that.
For me, no, I can't do it. You know. And after this, right here, did we lose these clowns? Here they come over the hill running.
You see these guys running with like painted face with bats. You would get the hell out of it.
I totally agree with you.
That's why I said
very
these
menacing.
guys are like my next
menacing
favorite gang throughout the whole movie.
So I mean,
you see that you running, you holding ass.
Yeah, that's a turn of crazy. You're absolutely right. I mean, they're going into Central Park. They're out of there. I mean, and then to go back to the Tom Waits thing, if this is actually true, right? I mean, you bring the guy in to show him a movie for inspiration, and because he refuses to drink, you have a problem with the guy.
Yeah,
and then after 8 weeks into photography, apparently their rift had gotten so bad, right?
Yeah.
That he went to the snow crane and said, "Kill him." That's all he said.
Kill him off. Yeah.
And then somebody was like, "What?" And he was just like, "Kill him off." And he was so upset, Waits, after this that he actually went uncredited in the movie. They told him he told him to take him off the movie as and he's still uncredited until this day, which is crazy. Which is crazy.
Wow.
That's how bad the problem was. I mean, that's a little crazy to me. That for what seemed like the second lead in the movie, like I said, a tale of two movies.
Yeah.
When you look at the first half to the second half, as soon as he killed off, it's like he never existed.
Right, and it was a stunt double who was, did the scene in front of the train. And
right, it wasn't even Waits.
Yeah.
They did it after the fact.
100%.
And another thing, too, and it probably speaks to the tensions and the director hating the actor, is that I don't think he's ever mentioned again.
No,
he's not.
No,
he's not.
After Swan meets up with Mercy, he says, "Where's the fox?"
Yeah,
and she's like, "I don't know." Meanwhile, she was there with him.
Yeah,
right.
And
like that's the last. Yeah, she ran away. You can explain it away, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, he's out. You know what I mean? Like, he's done. And
like they don't care.
Right. And
don't spit your beer out.
I mean, for those of you watching at home, this is why Cowboy in this scene, the baseball Fury fight in Central Park, is why Cowboy is the worst warrior.
Well, this is only one scene.
This is the scene.
I know.
This is this scene to explain the scenes of why he is the worst warrior. I'm telling you right now. I can't make it. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure.
All these guys look athletic.
But
like their bodies in shape.
First of all,
look like they play volleyball
not
every
that he
summer.
wants to stop. Not that he wants to stop and fight. He just can't run no more. And when Ajax like, you know what? I'm gonna beat these guys' asses. While Ajax gets knocked down on the floor, and that's where he is for the remainder of the fight.
Cowboy.
I'm sorry. Cowboy.
Look at this.
Is out. And there he is.
You
on the floor.
see somebody's face like that, yo. You're like, yo, I gotta use a gun on these guys.
I'm gonna shove you bat up your ass and turn you into a popsicle. That's a fantastic line. One of the greatest lines of all time.
I'm telling you, he's the best warrior.
And he's gonna talk to the baseball Fury that sort of looks like Paul Stanley from Kiss.
He does. Same type of makeup there.
Yeah, he twirls the bat like he's gonna do something, and there's Ajax killing it. And you know who's still on the floor at this time?
Cowboy.
And here's Snow and Swan save the day. You know who's still on the floor? Cowboy. That's all I'm saying. Rembrandt, I love you. I know he is dearly departed.
Yeah,
but,
he did die.
I take that all back.
He did?
Yes, he did.
Oh,
everything I've said to you over the years.
Rest in peace.
You're the man.
I think he died young too.
He did.
Oh man, no way. These guys it got beat so easily. I was so mad a little.
Unfortunately, now that we mentioned it, Rembrandt, Marcelino Sanchez, he died at 28. He died in 1986, and he died of AIDS-related cancer, unfortunately.
Jeez, dude.
Right, rest in peace. But
back in those days,
I
don't think AIDS was around. Like, no one really knew.
Right, so he's probably one of the earlier victims. But
yeah,
I mean, I cheers you because for years I talked down about you in this movie, and it's Cowboy the whole time.
I have to agree.
Cheers to the guy. Come on, it is what it is. But Look, and
Cowboy's the worst guy now.
At the end of the fight, who picks him up? Swan. He's like, oh, you guys beat them up? Thanks, guys. Oh, I'm going to pick up this bat for no reason because I'm never going to use it.
And now they all have bats, the Warriors.
Right.
And they walk with so much swag and confidence.
And here's Lynn Thigpen with the transitions. The transitions with her are so much better than the comic book panels again. Right? And what I like, too, when they split up.
The baseball Furies made an error.
Yeah, and they dropped the ball. They say they dropped the ball. This is great. Her little euphemisms. They're so good. Get out of here. The odds are against them. Come on. Calling them boppers and stuff. Did she not call them boppers in Carmen Sandiego? I don't know.
I don't know.
Gumshoes.
I don't know.
Gumshoes. Am I saying shit right?
Yeah.
Her little nicknames for everybody. I mean, come on, man. It's such a great transition here. And then you have the second half of the story, right, that has Vermin, Cochise, and Rembrandt actually making it to Union Square here.
Yeah, they get split up.
This is why I said this guy is me, because if I would have seen those girls, I would have said, yo, man, we gonna chill with them.
And here comes the second best gang in the entire
Now, they got
movie.
split up when the cops...
Yeah, right, so they split up on the platforms. Right? And then they split up again.
The Lizzies.
They're just some nice girls holding the umbrellas. Some of them have some hoodies on. Oh, wow, they look cute. How do you know?
Who's your favorite one? Let's see.
Oh, I'm going to call her the leader girl. I'm not exactly sure if she's actually the leader. She's the front one, twirling the umbrella. The very, very front one that says, I think she says here, like she says, like, hey, right here. Hi, that one.
That's not the leader.
I want to say she is, because she's actually the one who says that.
Well, hi.
That you killed Cyrus, if I believe, right? Is she?
I don't know.
That reveals it.
I don't know. We'll see. Because I don't remember. I don't remember who said that.
And here's the entrance of Mercedes, Ruehl, a cameo appearance here. All right.
Yeah, this is when Ajax.
This is one of the sadder.
Remember, I said that. I said he's
if there's a sad moment of the movie,
he's a strong guy and all that, but he's stupid.
Yeah. I mean,
would you want somebody in your game like that that's like hot-headed and always just ready to fight all the time?
I mean, if you think about it, right?
It's always one.
There's always that one guy, right?
If you think about it in anything, gangs, boy bands, everybody has the wild card, and he's the wild card, right? I mean,
really?
What? Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, everybody has the wild card. It's anybody, right? You need the bad boy, right? That's like one quintessential thing when you're forming your group. Everybody needs the bad boy / wild card.
Relax, man. Blah blah blah.
Here's a guy. You're in the middle of getting chased.
I would have thought it was Weez.
No, not at all. But he's talking about, look, this guy. No, you're talking about everybody. You're running for your life, right? You've had 3 different gangs come at you, right? At this point, and all he wants to do is be like, exactly. Oh man, I'm just gonna, see if I could, have sex with this chick. See you later. Right? Who cares about everything else?
He wants to rape her. Like, he wants to show her that her being in the park is like,
you gotta remember,
shouldn't be here.
This is what everyone was saying. Like, these guys are bad guys. They ain't
great, exactly. And then
we rooting for them to get home, but at the same time, these guys are like thugs.
They're not good guys, right?
They're not good guys.
And this is like the point where they weed out, I guess, the one bad element in their group. Because, right, Cochise and Snow,
they're all like,
Swan is, and this is the wild card, and this is how they eliminate him, And, like, listen, a girl on a park bench in the middle of Central Park at night, it's like,
not a good idea.
Do you not think there's a setup here? He's not smart, which Book said before. He's not smart. Right.
He's my favorite character out of the Warriors, but he's not smart.
And then,
that's
Snow
why he's not War Chief.
Listen, and then Cowboy, he saved my ass back there because I laid on the floor while you guys fought. Because he's the worst. Right. So, like, we're going to look out for him. And here's your secondary split now, because now it's Snow and Cowboy going off. Swan going off on his own again, going up ahead.
I don't like that. So, if you're like War Chief, right, you're ahead of everybody. Why would you leave those guys to come get you?
Sure, stick together. Right?
Yeah, man. I don't like how
especially if you're running for your
life. Even though those two have beef, you don't have beef with Cowboy and Snow. So why are you gonna leave them?
Right.
Every time I see that scene, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yep. Oh, baby, he likes it rough. That's exactly what he tells her, and then that's the end of him.
Yeah, she cuffs him to the bench.
So this scene right here, Ajax is trying to rape a cop.
Yeah, basically. Much, yeah. They definitely don't look like teenagers.
No.
They look like.
I mean, they. I know they don't really cast teenagers as teenagers a lot. Like, that happens, but.
I mean, it happens all the time. But like for me, like if you're watching this, like before the game came out, and you're talking about watching this movie, you think they're like
great.
early 20s and stuff like that, right? And then when you play the game and then you watch what Vermin says about having a social worker, a care worker, or something like that, and it's like, oh, so they're supposed to be like teenage kids.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but what I love about him here, he never quits the fight. He fights the cops. He punches the first one.
Say that later.
Right? He gets laid out, and what does he call the guy? A wimp. He's the man. But that's it for him.
Yeah, that's it. We don't see Ajax again.
He gets arrested.
Yeah.
This is actually the debut American film for Mercedes Ruehl.
Really?
Ruehl. It's actually her debut role.
Yeah, future Oscar winner, as you said before. I don't know what she won for, though.
A fucking wimp.
Called the cop a wimp, yeah.
Like, he doesn't go down easy, you know?
I mean, yeah, it is what it is, man.
Look at that.
He goes down swinging, and then you have Snow and Cowboy looking on. Cowboy's probably wanting to cry because he's the worst. And
I might have to agree with you on a Cowboy now. I didn't realize that until you...
Oh, see, Swan, now corny. Alone. That's whack.
Yeah, I don't like that. Like,
why did he leave him?
Yeah,
you're supposed to be the chief. You're supposed to be like the captain. Yeah. You're not supposed to leave nobody behind, and he just left.
So here's a good bit of trivia, you guys. Here, so he runs into Mercy at this point when he gets to the station, right? And now all of a sudden she has a jacket on, and the way he explained it is like, oh yeah, somebody had it and I stole it from them.
Yeah.
In the fight with the Fox, she actually broke her wrist. So wearing the jacket is actually concealing a cast.
Really?
Right, exactly. Okay. So that's why they added the jacket. So then, look, where's the
Didn't
Fox?
I tell you that?
And all she says here is a cop. Swan goes, where's the Fox? Mercy goes, a cop grabbed him, and that's really the last mention of Fox.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, she did run because when he was wrestling, when he was wrestling with the cop, she ran upstairs or something like that.
And then he mentions the coat. Where'd you get the coat? I stole it. But in reality, she actually broke her wrist, had to go to the hospital. And she's concealing the cast underneath, and that's why they added the coat at the end.
Huh. Wow, look at that.
How you doing?
Yeah.
I hate that he left his boys like that. I would have never did that.
It does bother me too. Yeah, exactly. You're actually
like you're the chief. You're not supposed to do that.
You know what sticks out with Mercy for me?
No one's there.
No one is there, which is kind of weird. I mean, it's late at night, but there's still gonna be people there.
Back in those days, they had that booth that you could get like tokens. In New York City, you get like tokens and you put it in so you don't have to hop the turnstile. Right. But no, they didn't pay, and no one said, "Hey, stop you!" You like, it's like, what the hell is going on?
But now if you hop a thing, you get.
But Mercy, and the Deborah Van Valkenburg,
mm-hmm.
I don't know where she's from, but her New York accent, she's not forcing it.
No, it's very prominent.
Every time I watch a movie with actors and it takes place in New York, you can tell that they're forcing that New York accent, and it sounds awful.
Oh, absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. And the thing about it too, it's like you're like, oh, you must be trying to play New York. You know what I mean? Like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
New York has like
I agree
a certain attitude, so they try to like act like.
But it's always over the top.
Here's a good one right here: the bat to the legs, where the guy just falls over and does the tumble.
He does the front roll.
And here's how they escape. How do they escape? We're gonna run onto the tracks.
Might as well.
I mean, it is what it is.
I think if I was running from the cops, I would like.
That's where you go.
Yeah, you have to go.
They're not gonna follow you, probably.
Yeah, I don't know, right? Would they?
I don't think so. I mean, if you're running down there, everybody's afraid of that third rail.
That's true.
Exactly.
True.
And then, or you're gonna get hit by, you're gonna get hit by a train.
And
here
the
these guys,
coming, so.
you know, they're chilling with the Lizzies. They're just chilling.
This is definitely you, Shad, right here.
That's why I said him. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I had to choose a word to be me, like.
Oh, because plus he's got his arm around the white girl. Yeah. That would be you.
Oh, well, you know. There's something about them that I just really, care about.
There it is. You know who was a fan of this film, actually?
Ronald Reagan. Right.
Ronald Reagan.
He even called Swan, Michael Beck, and actually told him, like, hey, I watched that Camp David. It's a good movie. How you doing? I mean, that's,
Ronald Reagan.
Let's talk about the reach of this movie. How, you know what I mean?
Let's not talk about him. He put so much drugs in the country.
As far as, like, right.
He put so much drugs in.
As far as,
you said she's the leader.
Yeah, I would say she is. Just talking to Vermin right
What's
now.
What's her name?
How'd you hear about us? You know how. I'm going to say Lizzie Leader. I don't know.
So you're saying that she's the cutest one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Yeah. I mean, do you want the curly blonde hair that's chilling at the jukebox?
Why not? She's cute. We sound like sexist right now. But we're not. We just admire women.
No, you're right. You're right.
Boy girl.
Not to judge based solely on the looks, but a few of them. You know what I like too? There's one girl here. This one right here that goes up to Rembrandt with the slick back hair. She does this dance with this girl. That's very seductive.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, how you doing? Yeah, she does this. She does a little like shoulder shimmy. And we're actually doing it right now for you guys.
Pot is 1979.
Oh, you know what though? I take it back. I like this one too. That's talking to them. This one's not bad.
I thought she was the leader.
Let's party a little. Let's get something going.
I thought she was the leader.
But see, I think this is why Boog said that Rembrandt's the worst. Because during this whole scene, you're with a bunch of girls. He's not friends having a good time. Yeah. All he keeps saying is, "We need to get back. We need to get back. We need to get back." And it's like, "Oh man, you suck. There's girls
like
there,
get
right?"
Back where?
But in reality, but in reality, right? He's probably the most concerned. He's probably the one that's right. You know, like, you need to get it going, man.
You gotta get it. And plus,
he's probably right. He's right though. They go home.
But there's also no reason to think they know that gangs are after them, and they say, "Hey, we're the Lizzies." There's no reason for them to think that they're not a gang.
I mean that too. You're absolutely right. If you're getting, but in that respect, right? They also don't know that people are after them for Cyrus.
Right. Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So they're kind of just like, yeah, they're Lizzies. Oh, there's a female gang. Yeah, we got this. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
That's foul.
I mean, I'm gonna choose between you two. I'm gonna take her.
Like, dude's grinding.
Look, he's jiving with his shoulder shrugs, a little head shake.
See, back in those days, you could tongue kiss a girl like right in the first day. No one cared. No one cared about diseases. None of that. This is 1979. Yeah, I'm pretty sure diseases around, of course.
But
this is before the whole.
So here's why Rembrandt says they're gonna be worried about us, and then Coach is like, yeah, it's a quick break in the action. I don't care. You know, like he's like, we need to get back, and it's like, if you think that Rembrandt's the worst, all right, now I can see why. But no.
Well, he's putting a W. Ooh, what does that mean? Like, is
Cowboy with them?
No, Cowboy is with Snow right now.
Snow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cowboys with Snow. Real dope.
So they're all right. So they're like split up into three.
Now that's three separate stories going on right now. So now you have Swan and Mercy on the tracks, right?
Snow and Cowboy.
Snow and Cowboy doing their thing. Ajax is arrested. And then you have Cochise, Vermin, and Rembrandt with the Lizzies. So that's like your three revolving stories right now. Yeah.
And what bothers me about them being separated is like, if it were me, I wouldn't want to be separated.
That's what I'm talking about.
So it's just
of course not. Everybody trying to kill you?
Yeah, exactly.
No way. Well, I'm like, yo, where you going? Like,
right.
Where you going? It's like 1,000 gangs trying to kick our asses. Like, where you going? So right now, this scene, Swan is walking around. Well, not walking around. He's in
the tracks.
Yeah, in the tracks with that dirty chick. She's the worst. I'm sorry.
But can you actually walk the tracks though?
Yeah.
I mean, you could. You gotta avoid the third rail and the train.
You've seen people do it? Yeah.
I've seen people.
100% I did. Remember I told you in the beginning of the movie, I used to go to the Bronx to see my grandmother. This was like early 90s. They used to do that all the time. But it was like crackheads, you know?
Right.
And they had
the people that actually live in those those abandoned subway tracks and stuff.
Like, they were going to train tracks.
Because it makes me think of like when you watch a movie and people are just walking through the sewers. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not what a sewer looks like, you know? Like, I mean, I don't know. I've never been in a sewer, so I don't know.
Yeah, see, I've never been in a sewer.
Watching the Turtles, like, hey, wait a minute. I saw the episode with Michelangelo.
Where's the place that I can skateboard? It's not there. I don't understand what you're saying.
Donatello, he was flipping around. I don't know. What was it? Turtles what?
You know what's funny? I'm actually looking up the trivia right now. Oh, it's right here. So, Deborah Van Valkenburg's boyfriend tried to discourage her to not audition because they wanted someone she thought they wanted somebody more well endowed. Uh-huh. So like we're talking about, you can see right through her thing. It's you know, is that a distraction? Is that what? I mean, you know, you can't picture. I don't know, for me, somebody other than her in this role now. You know what I mean? Like, oh, it could have been anybody else, but it's not, because I kind of feel like she embodies, like what you said, the New York accent, everything like that. She kind of embodies the whole thing. You know what I mean?
The way the character is supposed to be.
It's her.
Is how she looks.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah.
It'd be hard now, and again, we'll like you said, we'll talk about it at the end. If they try to do a remake here, I can't picture nobody else as Mercy. You know what I mean? And I feel like they would try to go high profile with it, and I don't know if they would work.
Yeah, and that's usually the case with remakes. You know, they're always hard to. And I also the very first podcast episode of The Fans Perspective was about remakes, It's like, why would you remake something that's already good? You know, why not just re-release it?
I agree with you
wholeheartedly.
I agree.
That's what I would do.
Listen, and again, I'll save this. I'll save this for when we're ready. But you know,
he's tonguing her down.
That is an intense kiss. I mean, that's an intense kiss. Her boyfriend must have been jealous at the end. Like, bro, what are you doing? What are you doing there, girl?
She's fiends on this one.
Love this line. This is probably my favorite line in the movie on here. But besides, can you dig it? She's like, come on, let's go, please. Come on, let's do it. Dirty. Come on, let's go. And she's begging him to do it, and we just... That's happening all night. And it's all bad. I love it. As a student filmmaker, I made a film, and I incorporated that line into one of my films to say, you just like everything that's happening. It's all bad. Because of the Warriors. That was inspiration.
Which one?
That was the one. I think you were in it.
Yeah?
Yeah. It was, actually, you said the line. It wasn't even me. And I wrote it into the script as such.
Oh, was that the one in the car about the army? Mm-hmm. He was going back? Okay, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's the dance right there.
There it is. There's a shimmy. Look,
nice
I'm going to come up on you, girl. Yeah, we're shimmying. I mean...
This scene is so like me.
But
this scene is so me.
But the funny thing about it
it's
too is
crazy.
Like,
this scene is so
Rembrandt
me.
knows, right?
100%.
And nobody else. If I'm in that room too, I'm like, there's nothing wrong. These girls, there's something wrong with these girls.
I think not her. The one that Coach is with, I think is the cutest one.
I'm gonna call her the second leader of the Lizzies. Okay.
No one knows who's the lead. Wait.
But if you had to have a favorite scene besides the Cyrus speech in the beginning,
it's all right. It's
my favorite scene right here is coming up with the Lizzies. It's one of my favorite. And I'm not calling it iconic. It's iconic for me. It's one of my favorite scenes of all time. And you know what I love too? It's claustrophobic. It's maybe 1 or 2 rooms. It's very small, right? And when the build-up happens very slowly, you have the 2 girls dancing. They're making out, and the song that's playing, right? A little bit psychedelic, you know. And it's just that build-up, and Rembrandt just keeps looking around. And he's looking around, and he's like, he's just waiting to leave. Right, exactly. But you're absolutely right. Because if I'm Vermin, I'm like, this guy sucks.
He has that iconic line coming up right now.
Look, they're building. Look, they're looking at each other, and they're looking at each other. And what is she pulling out? You don't have no idea.
He sees all this too.
And here's the lock of the door. You hear nothing else but the lock of the door. Here, you're the famous warriors, the guys that shot Cyrus, and that's when they find out the chicks are packed. That's it. That's the line. You know what I love right here?
Things are getting
when Coach Cheese just punches the chick right in the face. Oh no, the Vermin punches the girl in the face, and then here he comes. The chair shot of all chair shots. Let's go. Right on the girl. The chair shatters in a bunch of pieces. A gun is in the mix.
She's the worst shooter in the world.
She's a bad shot.
And then Coach Cheese again shatters the door as he runs through, and they just run through it. And here's the kicker here. Vermin was supposed to be killed in this scene. And they liked him so much in his previous scenes and stuff that they decided to keep him in the movie.
Yeah, he was like the jokester dude. He was like the jokester dude.
I didn't know that. But that scene is definitely classic.
The first time I seen that, I laughed my ass off.
Besides,
he hit a chick with a chair.
You're absolutely right. Because besides the obvious scene with Cyrus, this is probably my favorite scene, hands down.
Yeah.
First of all, the line, the chicks are packed, is fantastic.
Yeah, the chicks are packed is great.
And then you have a chair shot to a woman.
That's the thing. Like when we first watched this and that happened, I laughed too, and not because I would never hit a woman, but just the fact that they actually did that with the chair and it exploded the way it did. I was like, oh my, I can't believe they did that.
But when stakes are high, right?
I guess you do what you gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do. You know?
I mean, they shooting. You gotta do something, you know.
You know what makes me laugh too?
I think you guys know me very well. If I would have seen that in real life, I would have laughed my ass off during all that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I would have laughed.
You're probably right. Yeah,
I would have laughed my ass off. Like, oh, yo, what dude just hit the girl with the chair?
We're running for our lives, and he's laughing the whole time. I would have been like, yo, you're an asshole. But it would have happened. It would have happened. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I would have laughed my ass off.
So at some point, that he didn't want to have sex with Mercy, they split up from walking the tracks and was just like, listen, you stay here. I'm gonna walk ahead. And Swan again as war chief. Not really showing great leadership skills here.
They don't have
I agree.
They don't even have stores in the subway.
They do.
They do
now.
Now
They do. Now they do.
Right.
Now they do. But
it's
like
late
like 80s and
90s,
all that stuff was gone.
Yeah, but now it's like a little mall down there.
In some areas, like 40 dudes.
I used to remember. But not even that. If you certain
34th Street. You see some stores.
If you take the one train going up a little bit for a while, they used to have lots of stuff. And here's
what area?
Here we go.
Here's this jackass.
These guys are ridiculous on their skates.
First of all. If a guy's coming at me with roller skates, I'm gonna kick his leg out from underneath him, and then that's the end of that guy. I mean,
like throw some rocks and marbles on the ground. That's
now
it,
this scene, what's these guys? What's this game
I mean,
called?
I'm gonna find out right now.
Because I totally forgot the name. But the bathroom scene is my favorite scene of this whole movie.
It is another great scene.
It's a small space, and you have to kick ass to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And everybody's fighting for their will to get out of there because if they don't, they dead.
At that point, you got no choice.
They have no choice. You know
what I'm looking at, the gang is actually called the Punks, and if you're wearing a set of skates, you are.
That was easy.
I like the Farmer John's better, but it's fine.
That scene is like legendary.
It's funny if you actually look it up on IMDb.
Because everybody's kicking ass.
There's a bunch of gangs that have names that I've never even heard of, like the Fillmores, the Fire Tasters, the Go Hards, the Gun Hill Dancers, and they had names for every gang that was in that scene. But you just don't, the Stonebreakers, the Terriers, the Turks. And then you have the people that they mention, like the Van Cortlandt Rangers, who you don't see, but they mention. But they're actually in the game. They're in the game.
But aren't they in the beginning when they showing all the gangs?
I don't believe they are. I'm not entirely sure, but maybe you're right.
Because they showed a lot of gangs in the beginning, going to the Cyrus.
Yeah, you're right.
Meeting.
Yeah, probably. So it's funny because I have
Snow and Cowboy are back with Cochise.
They met up at Union Square.
And Rembrandt. Yeah,
I would have liked to see.
This guy got a paper cut. He's holding his arm like he got shot.
The thing that makes me laugh is that
get out of here.
What I would have liked to see is Snow and Cowboy's journey to Union Square, which they don't show.
Yeah, they don't really show.
It almost seems like they got like a free pass. It was like, you're fine. You probably walked to Union Square and it was great.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. But then again, Cowboys suck, so it probably was Snow doing all the damage. So I don't know. It doesn't matter for me. And Cochise again. Damn, man.
Even though they tired, they want to get home, they still walk.
This is a great scene. This is probably in terms of top 3 scenes. I mean, this is definitely 1, 2. This is probably third for me. This is
third. Wow.
I mean,
you're killing me, Smalls.
The Lizzie scene is so good though.
It's funny,
and you can't.
That's a funny scene.
You cannot.
A good scene.
But you can't gloss over the opening scene of the movie with Cyrus in the speech.
Oh yeah, that's
right?
Excellent.
And this one right here is there. I mean, too, like she just pops up out of nowhere. Oh, there's a dude over there with skates. Yeah, no shit.
That's crazy.
There's a guy skating behind me for 5 minutes. I know.
They have arcades and toys and little things in the subway while you wait for the train.
Well, who's playing a pinball at 4 a.m? I mean, really? They're on my ass.
Back in those days,
she blew up his butt. She was like, "Now they know I know."
Yeah. But back in those days, you waiting for a train for an hour. What are you gonna do?
I mean,
I would play a game, to waste some time.
Not for nothing. Those guys are 5 feet away. You're telling me they didn't know that you knew that you were following them? I mean, again, but
now they're all reunited.
This is the best part.
Yep.
Because he looks at them, he smiles, he gives them the nod to the bathroom.
Hold up.
Fantastic.
Hold up. Time out. Eric, you was getting that on Cowboy the whole time, correct? Mm-hmm. Doesn't he bust ass in the bathroom?
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure he's. I'm pretty sure he probably lays on the floor the whole time because he sucks.
Maybe you could be right.
Why is there a pinball machine in the middle of
I told you.
But it's like a mini arcade. It's like here.
Yeah, they play
here's an arcade. Don't get robbed because there's gangs everywhere. And it's funny too because if you kind of look at it, Vermin kind of takes the Fox role, which I think why they added to Vermin's scenes because
they took Fox out.
When they took Fox out,
it makes sense.
Vermin was trying to get killed. Was supposed to get killed by the Lizzies.
Yeah,
he kind of right here, wait a minute, it's the men's room, and here's Vermin with that little comedic line again. Yeah, are you kidding? And then drags her in.
There we go. You kidding?
So he kind of took that role from Fox. I think you know what I mean. That's where it was like, oh damn, they really.
But he's always been that funny dude, even in the beginning of the movie.
So how about looking up before we started this movie, doing some research? They were supposed to be like a homosexual gang that kidnapped Swan at some point in the movie.
Oh,
that was
no
supposed
way!
To be, one of the characters was supposed to be played by Kevin Bacon. Actually, They had these Doberman pinchers, and then he ends up escaping. That was written into the original script that never made it. It's very interesting that they didn't do more with Swan on his own since they decided to
Well, the way how Ajax been talking through this whole movie, maybe that's why they didn't put it in.
Yeah, maybe.
But now, I mean, we mentioned a few times it's based on a book, and it's probably in the book. But can you read a book of a movie that you've already seen?
Yes,
I've done that because I used to work in Barnes and Nobles. Yeah, I used to do that all the time.
Yeah. Because I have I have Lord of the Rings right there. And like I'll try to start reading, and they're like, "Yeah, I'll just watch the movies because I have all the movies."
Well, I do like to. It depends.
So
like,
easier.
So
Yeah,
I've watched like movies and I've read the books after the fact because the book always has more detail. I always like to read the book after the fact to do the comparison. Or
the book will always be...
what they leave out, what they do, and here it is. Look, they're all waiting by the stall.
But
you know what makes me laugh though? The tall one is looking over the stall. You're telling me you can't see who's there? Look, Rembrandt does his thing. Spray paint in the face, punches him.
Wait, here we go.
All right, here's Cowboy. Oh, ducks.
Wait. Let's see what he does.
Vermin's holding it down.
Don't get out of it.
Here's Snow doing good things. Swan's holding it down.
Okay, Cowboy got a shot.
Yeah,
okay, he hit somebody in the shoulder with a bat. Ooh.
Damn.
This scene took about a week or two to film, actually, too.
It took that long, really?
Yeah, and you know what? There's a lot of shots. There's a lot of cuts here.
Yeah,
there's another great moment where he backdrops him into the...
Yo, Cowboy's doing his thing.
It's the same. It was the same scene. Come on, he hit him in the shoulder again.
Nah, look at that.
Oh, when he backdrops him to the thing.
He backdrops him through the door.
Mercy, look, biting his shoulder. Look, Vermin holding it down. Oh, against the wall.
That's a tough shot. No, I would never want to get hit with a bat like that.
So basically, everybody, we looking at the bathroom scene,
right?
Where everybody's going crazy.
This
trying
is
to make it out.
This is a fantastic scene too.
It is
right
a good fight.
Right here. Snow, look, the young son hero here. Like I said in the beginning, Snow and Coach
I told you. Look at this guy. He's with the girl. And he said,
yo, dude, but he's like the newest member of the Warriors.
Oh,
he did the headlock. He did a running bulldog into a wall. Right? Here we go. Oh, there you go.
I told you.
Oh, he saved the day.
He did more than that.
Yeah, but he didn't lay down like a friggin'
everybody
bitch the whole
who's
time.
listening to this podcast.
Cowboy's the worst guy. Look,
done his thing. Cowboy done his thing.
You know what? You know what? I'm gonna call this scene the redemption of Cowboy because he does really. He puts in work. He puts in work in this scene.
Yeah, he puts in work.
Here it is.
I love this right here. The back body drop through the stall door. It's all wood, shatters completely, and that's the end.
I can understand why that scene took like a week. There's a lot of cut shots.
There's a lot of cuts. There's a lot of movement. It's also a small area, you know. So it's
and the Warriors got hit too, but they fought their way out. That's what I'm saying. Like it's a great scene.
See, but that's what I like too. Like the Warriors took shots.
There you go.
Like it wasn't just
they
weren't
didn't dominate.
There you go.
You know, like Vermin got thrown into the mirrors. He got thrown into the sink. They're hurt. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very realistic fight, which I like too because what Walter Hill did is he took the stunt coordinator and put the main cast through like stunt school, so to speak.
Yeah,
you know?
But see, I always like that when actors do their own stunts. Like, you know, I've gone to acting school and I've taken acting classes. Tom Cruise? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I always thought like if I ever made it as an actor, I would want to do my own stunts.
You would want to do your own stunts?
Yeah, because
I would do some if I can.
We can usually tell when we're watching a movie the actor from the stunt man, and it just doesn't look good.
Right. No, you're
like
right.
the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Ain't Arnold, man.
But that's another one that like it almost takes you out of the moment too, because like famously, if you remember Blade 2, right?
I just watched that recently.
Blade 2,
I watched that
when they're doing the sword fight, when they started doing that new CGI a little bit, I mean you could tell clear as day that it's two computer-generated characters fighting, and it's like, I don't believe a thing that you're doing right now. It sucks, you know what I mean? Like, it's terrible, but it is what it is, you know what I mean?
Everybody's tired now after that fight. They're all sleeping on the
train. And it makes sense because they've been fighting their way home. Jeez, he got knocked.
Yeah, he's got a big knock.
I mean, he has a nice gash here.
So this scene right here, they on the train, trying to make it back to Coney Island.
Yeah.
Now, people coming from, looks like they're coming from a party, probably from 40 Deuce, a.k.a. 42nd Street for the people who don't know.
Dressed in white.
They dressed in white, look like they're coming from somewhere that was like
I want to say it's prom.
They dressed up like a prom, right?
Well, they all have the little...
Because you did say they were supposed to be teenagers.
The ruffled tuxedos, she had the corsage on.
They look older.
You said Sean John?
No, that's stupid. the rumor here is that one of the girls in this scene is played by a young Deborah Winger, but it's actually not. None of them are Deborah Winger. But for some reason, there was a rumor for years that one of them was Deborah Winger, and it's not. It's very, very weird why they said that.
Why they say that?
It beats me in this case, but it's not actually. I'm trying to actually look up their names now.
Do you understand this scene?
Yeah, they're looking at them, and obviously they're dirty. Mm-hmm. Mercy and Swan are very dirty. They're covered in dirt, and these people who look like they're coming from a party are clean. And they're looking at him, and just you can tell that they're uncomfortable.
Okay. Right.
And just they're judging, but they're not like
they're judging with their eyes here.
They're judging
not
with their
saying
eyes.
anything.
Yeah, they're not saying much.
And what I love too is the fact that Mercy goes to fix her hair, and Swan puts her hand.
Yeah, he's like, don't do that.
He's
like,
don't
do it.
Don't do it for them.
Be who you are.
Right.
Yep.
Don't do it for them. They're clearly dirty, and then Mercy kind of just drifts off to sleep here. and they decide to switch cars. Oh, let's get off here, you know. And when she wakes up, they're gone. It's almost like a dream for her.
Yeah,
you know?
It's
like
a powerful scene.
There's these people here. I'm gonna fix myself, and he's like, don't change who you are for other people.
Right.
Right? You know what I mean?
It's a powerful scene because
right.
It's a powerful scene because it just displays how people
gang
are.
life.
Well, not even that, but just how people are. Like we tend to. Yeah, we're not a political show here, but and I don't believe in politics, but as a society, we always judge what we see.
Yeah. And
perception is reality, and that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, it's wrong.
Right,
so, and that's what that scene was. You know,
can't judge somebody the way
right,
they
exactly. They're looking at them like, oh, they're dirty. They're probably thinking white trash. You know, I'm uncomfortable around.
Yeah. Who is this girl?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Oh, where is she coming from? And you know what though? And
now they're in Brooklyn.
Right, they're Stillwell Avenue. Yeah, and race aside here, right? I mean, how many times have you been in a situation where you feel like, and I just experienced this today, actually, being in the diner. You know, I'm there with my son, I'm there with my wife, and I was there with my 2 nephews. And I was there being stared at by 2 women who probably thought that I had 4 kids. And it's, you know, it is what it is. That's exactly what it is. And they're like, you know what? I don't give a damn. But exactly why Swan tells her, like, stop what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason why he gave her that, what's it?
The corsage?
Yeah. It's because, like...
Swan giving Mercy the
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're still beautiful the way how you are. You understand?
Right.
So, like, it's a powerful scene. Like, you know what I'm saying, you know?
So I'm almost at the end here, I think.
Yeah.
This is it. I mean, I feel like...
This is the end.
I mean, a couple of beers later, how you doing? It's there. And as good as this movie is as fast as it goes. I mean, we're talking about an hour and a half or so, right?
Yeah.
You know, in the era of 2.5 hour movies, you really don't need it. It's there. It tells a story. You're in. You're invested. You know, and it's great too because you think about it, right? Where are the Warriors based in? Coney Island. Mm-hmm. Well, let's just go to Coney Island and get them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
makes sense.
If they make it to the end, then we chase them down. You know?
Yeah.
Has anybody?
They don't even have their whole crew with them, because
right, exactly. By then, they're almost a shell of themselves. Fox is dead. Cleon is dead. Well, it's implied that he's dead.
Is it implied that he's dead?
I mean, if you think about it, right? If you got that many bows dropped on you,
they were dropping those Macho Man elbows on.
But it's funny. I always thought that he made it. He just got beat up. Maybe he's in a hospital.
Right.
But when you do the when I was doing research for this back, they say that it's implied that he got killed.
He got killed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was like 20 guys getting.
Yeah, there was a lot of guys.
Yo, listen, if 20 guys are throwing both of their bows, that's 40 bows.
And you killed their leader, you're dead.
So, you know, that's it. It's over.
You killed their leader. At that point.
Yeah, exactly, you know?
Like
40 bows are just like...
I mean, and here's coming up, right? The scenes of scenes.
Let me ask you guys this. Now, these guys are like the star, like warriors. Is no other warriors around in that neighborhood?
But
it's just them?
Right, you're right. But you think about it, early morning hours, right? They're trying to get away. Do we make it to our hideout? Okay, we just need to get away. You know, so maybe their idea was to not go to where they need to go. They just want to survive.
So basically, they just brought their best warriors
It was their best guys.
Yeah, the best guys. Yeah.
7 representatives and 7 representatives.
There's no way it could only be like 7 or 8 guys going to the meeting, and that's the warriors of like Brooklyn, Coney Island. Right. You know how big
think about
Coney
that
Island
for a
is,
sec.
like,
you know
the whole area.
Coney Island's huge.
Yeah.
But I never thought of that. Like, I always thought it was just them. That's it.
Like, look at all the other games.
So when you play the game, there's actually more warriors.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. Yeah, they all chilling, playing arcades, or
right.
Like, you see them walking around. Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta play that game. You gotta play that game.
Right here, we gotta stop for a minute. You gotta hear this right here, right?
The famous scene right here.
Right.
One of them.
It is. I'm wrong. It's a Budweiser bottle, 2 Budweiser bottles, and
what is that?
a
Sprite?
clear one. I'm gonna say that's 2 Budweiser bottles and a Modelo.
What?
Or a Heineken. I don't know.
Awesome.
And improvised. Some of the best scenes in movie history, right? Improvised. You know?
Like, how would you... I would never thought of this. Like, you know what I'm saying? I would never thought of that.
The fact that he wanted to use dead pigeons, right?
Oh, that would have been cool, too.
But they said no. And he was like, okay, I'm going to grab 3 bottles and put them on my fingers and clank them together. And how many times, and if you're watching, right, you're watching it at home, how many rappers have
Puff Daddy,
the Diplomats,
the Diplomats,
everybody, you know, that have copied
probably
this
a few
scene.
more. But
This
those
is
are the popular
short.
ones.
And
those are popular.
I know I've been throwing the term around a lot, but in terms of iconic scenes, this scene
You've been throwing
here
that a lot.
with Luther doing the bottles, that's one of the most iconic scenes in cinematic history.
Yeah, 100%.
I would say as far as like this movie goes, it's the scene.
It's the scene.
The scene.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Because it's so repeated. You know?
Yeah, it is.
Now, let me ask you, is it DC or is it when Cyrus was like, can you dig it?
Well,
that's an excellent scene,
I would
too.
say
It is,
scene,
but I think it's this one.
I agree.
I would say this scene followed very closely by the Cyrus scene, but that one, the fact that, come out to play, and then how many times that
everybody
does that.
Diddy and Craig Mack's Flavor in Your Ear in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
The same exact thing. How many rappers have emulated it?
I was doing that
the Cyrus
drunken,
scene
like
is very
in clubs,
close
like,
too,
come out and play, It's
And-
just like everybody knows that.
I mean, the Cyrus scene famously, Shaquille O'Neal when they won the NBA Finals and the Lakers, right?
Yeah,
he was
there you go.
This, he goes, everyone tell me, can you dig it? And he did the same thing too, and that kind of
He
put it on
says
the
that
map
a
also,
lot. Shaquille, he says that a lot, Shaq. And now, right now, the scene we're looking at, they at the beach in Coney Island, and
The Rogues are squaring off with them a little
Yeah.
bit.
But here's the thing I love about it, right? He asked Luther, why'd you do it? And I just like doing things like that. There was no motivation, right? There's no thing here.
I love what Swan says right now. Swan basically says, we home, we figured everything be good.
Yeah.
But I guess not, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
because the Rogues
Right.
follow him.
No
Exactly.
No reason. Yeah.
Right? I just like doing things like that. There's no motivation. Not like, we want to be the main gang in New York.
There
We
you
want
go.
to take over. It's just like, no,
Yeah.
I just wanted to
I
shoot
just
him.
wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Just
Which
felt like
I love about it. There's no motivation that you just wanted to be a badass
Because they are
dude.
gangs out there that just do it just to do
Exactly. We're gangs. I'm going to kill him.
it. This movie's awesome.
Right here.
Like, it's awesome.
Anybody notice the sheriff's badge?
Yeah, I just saw it too. I just saw it. I was just
I have never
looking at
noticed
it.
that until
I
just
was
now.
just looking at
I've seen this movie a million times.
I just
This
saw
guy
it.
has a sheriff's badge on his.
There we go. He shoots, and everybody's in the way. You trying to say not one person got shot?
Somebody should have got hit.
Somebody
with
should have
that.
got it like nicked or like something. Because no one moves except for Swan.
Right.
All right. Yeah, that's true.
Somebody should have got shot.
And then I think like Swan and Rembrandt are right behind him too. Like,
yeah. Oh,
that's right
shoot
here. A G
Rembrandt,
move. I'm gonna wipe the blood off in your hair.
Yeah.
That was a good move.
All right.
Look at these guys. They in shape. Like, it's crazy.
They are in shape.
And all these riffs are just there, like.
Where the hell
These
did they
guys
come
look like
from?
Public Enemy.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
really,
who are these guys?
they're really
They
looking
come in
militant.
like 40
They're-
deep. Like,
Yeah.
where'd you come from?
You look like Wu-Tang in the 90s.
They really are. It's like Wu-Tang and everybody lived in Stapleton.
Yeah.
That wanted to be down with Wu-Tang at the point.
It looks crazy, man.
You know what's great too?
I'll be scared, man.
All right,
Like,
and this
whoa,
is not
take
this
it
is
easy,
not
man.
in any way right, but they all have hockey sticks. What black guy was playing hockey in the 70s here, right? If you're
I
not
don't
French,
know.
Well, back then,
right?
nobody.
If you're wearing a French Canadian,
It's like 5 black hockey guys, I think.
but I mean at this point though,
At this point, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
maybe
just
5
like
or
listen,
6 or something
at
like
this
that.
point they're just grabbing it as a weapon because it's
Yeah.
like this one guy right here. Look, he's looking at him like, I got this thing. I'm gonna stab you with it right in the neck. Right? He has
Yeah,
like
you
a
see
fence.
him.
He has like a
He's
fence
like-
post.
He's acting too.
Yeah.
He's really into his role.
Right here, like, Warriors are good, real good.
The best.
This movie is awesome.
That's fantastic. The rest is ours. What
And
I love about that.
The shine on his glasses, like you see Swan like right there, like
Yeah.
being like the leader while he's talking to him. Like you see he's like, right there in the center of his glasses. I think that's a good scene there too.
So now the Warriors are finally home. They've got. Now everybody knows that they didn't do it,
Mm-hmm.
and that it was the Rogues.
Yeah.
And the Riffs are about to.
Well, actually, what I think because we skipped over the scene where the Riffs are actually in their hideout, and somebody from a rival gang comes and says, "Well, we have something to tell you," which actually
That's
tells
right.
them
Yeah.
and lets them know that it wasn't the Warriors.
That's
It was
right.
actually
Yeah,
I
that's
saw that
right.
it was the Rogues.
Yeah.
So that's what brings the Riffs actually to Coney in the original.
Right.
And then I guess they just stumble across what the Rogues were. In
I
this
like
point.
this. I like this line too. She's like, for the group that had such a hard time getting home, sorry about that.
Right. Like, sorry, buddies. Sorry, boppers. At this point here, nice. It's like we made it.
Yeah.
It's over. I see the
It is-
ocean.
yeah,
Now we're home.
Now
right,
we're
like
home.
what you just
Yeah,
said,
now
right?
we're home.
And at this point, I'm gonna need the same. Thanks. And then you have. I mean, I'm guessing they're gonna live happily ever after, or at least until he finds his next chick. I don't know what's going on here.
Remember, these guys are like thugs and like gay, like
they're all about that thug.
They're gonna pass that girl around like she's been doing with the Orphans. Like,
I mean, if you think about it,
like these guys are bad guys.
See, like,
they are
again,
bad guys.
Okay, so
bad guys.
So everybody that I've been complaining about the comic book panels here.
Oh no.
The best part of the movie is when they're walking off on the beach by themselves and the credits roll. They do a comic book panel and then it says the end at the bottom. To me, excuse my language, it's bullshit. I love the fact that you have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5 different panels showing the end, whereas in the original, they're just walking off and they just keep walking.
They just keep walking
into the sunset on the beach. They're enjoying Coney Island, and then the credits roll. It's so much better. I'm sorry, I do not like this director's cut at all. I mean, if you think about it, right, the last shot in the film, they let them keep walking all the way to the end to the point that Michael Beck and Deborah Van Valkenburg got annoyed. And the reason why they made them walk so much is because they actually got Deborah Van Valkenburg flowers for the end of the shoot. And they made her walk so much when they can get everything ready, like as almost like a surprise.
It's like a surprise.
But for me, like that ending is so it's so nice that it's over. You're walking into that sunset, it's done, and you're like, this right here just. Ugh, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. You like this one better? Yeah, I can't do it.
I like this one better because you don't see them walking. Now that's number one. Wait, hold on. That's number one. Number two. It's like, where they walking to? These guys are like thugs. They should be like in a project or something. Like they going in the ocean. I'd be tired. They've been fighting all night.
But it doesn't matter. That's the whole point.
I would have laid down in the sand.
It doesn't matter.
I'm going to sleep.
It's over. It's done. I could actually walk without having fear of people coming out and trying to either arrest me or kill me. One of the two.
If that happened to any of us, right? We're like, oh man, we made it home. I'm not walking on the beach. So I'm going home.
You're telling me the last thing you want is like,
I'm going home.
Fuck this beach shit. I'm going home.
100%.
You're not gonna enjoy like, oh damn, 100%. We made it. I don't know.
Public Enemy just gave me the okay.
Stop it. Stop. The comic book panel thing. Listen, I don't need this. I don't need this comic book panel with the DN.
No, all right.
Let me get that walk.
But I'm saying,
let me get that walk.
You will walk on the beach like, man, this is great. The water's hitting your toes. It would probably go up to your ankles.
You're damn right.
This is great.
Like,
it looks like it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to bed. I'm taking a shower.
There is no way I'm going to bed at this point. I'm so wired.
And I probably won't
I am so full of adrenaline. I'm probably going to grab a beer at this point.
Oh, that's cool.
The hell out of here.
That's cool. But I wouldn't walk on the beach.
I don't know, man.
I'm like, oh man, we made it. Swan would probably see what's good with that dirty chick. And everybody like, man, Swan, you're the war chief, boom, boom, boom. What happened to Ajax? I don't know. We see him in a week. So, like, that's it.
So if we could talk about it, Chris, real quick. Now that we mentioned it a bunch of times.
Sure.
The idea of the remake of The Warriors.
So, yeah, it's been rumored for a long time that they tried to do a remake. But as of 2016, it's rumored that the Russo brothers, who of course we all know for doing the Avengers movies, are trying to work out a series for the Warriors.
See, I could get behind that.
Yeah.
I can't get behind the remake. So like what you've been saying with a remake. So for me, right? So Tony Scott was rumored to be doing a remake for a long time. Tony Scott has since passed, and then whatever. The original idea and correct me if I'm wrong here, but the original idea was to set the movie in LA first of all.
I remember that. Yeah.
Right. I remember me and you talking. about it. And the original idea was we're gonna set the movie in LA. I guess the Warriors and they want to do different games because they felt like the baseball Furies were a little bit too silly and vice versa, whatever. And then they changed it. Was like, well, the movie's gonna be set in New York, and then Tony Scott dropped from the project. He eventually passed away. Yeah. And then I think what's his name? His last name Neville Dean. He directed Ghost Rider 2. Neville Dean Taylor. It's 2 directors, but it's one.
Ghost Rider.
First of all, Ghost Rider 2 was garbage. Right, he was talking about revisiting, remaking the movie. If I gotta say it, The Warriors are one of those movies that should not be remade ever.
No, I agree. No, we don't need a remake.
I don't need a remake of The Warriors because it's never, in my opinion, it's never gonna measure up to the original, and that's what you're gonna do. That's what you're gonna go in expecting. People who have never watched The Warriors will be like, oh yeah, it's probably good or whatever. It's never gonna measure up to the original ever. And second of all, how dare you set the movie in LA? This is a New York movie.
It's a New York movie.
It's a New York movie. You go through 3 of the 5 boroughs in this movie, and you want to set it in LA in the original? Like, to hell with you. You know what I mean? I think if they did a remake, it'd probably be more violent.
It would be more violent,
a bit more menacing, a bit more scary.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't need, but for me, I don't need a remake, dude. I don't need it. You're in agreement here, then.
I agree that because most of the time, I think that we don't need remakes, and there are remakes that I think are really good. Like Peter Jackson's King Kong comes to mind because I think that's a really good remake.
Okay.
I really liked Godzilla 2014, even though I don't know if it's a remake of anything.
Right.
but
just a continuation of the series, kind of. Okay, yeah.
I
dug it. Yeah.
I like the It remake.
I tell you what, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'll tell you what I did enjoy in terms of remakes. When we're talking horror movies, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with Jessica Biel. I thought it was good, and then they killed it as they went. I was like, oh, it's a decent remake. You know what I mean? And then they killed it by all the subsequent sequels. Right. You know what I mean? But
the only thing that I would say, and Shahad's got his hand raised.
I have something to say about
what is this, fucking class?
No, because I didn't want to interrupt. I didn't want to interrupt. The remake, I heard that they was gonna do it in LA, and that Little Bow Wow was gonna be the leader.
No. I think
that was crazy what I heard.
So no, I think it might have been mixed here because
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Little Bow Wow wanted to do a remake of New Jack City.
Oh, New Jack City. There we go. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Juice. I apologize. Not New Jack City. I'm going to say it's Juice, actually.
I knew it was one of those.
He wanted to do like a Juice or New Jack City. I'm sorry. Forgive me if I'm wrong here. I'm going to lean towards Juice. He wanted to do like a remake of Juice.
Yeah, it was something like
that.
Okay. Right. There it is.
But for me, like, it's like what me and Chris were just talking about. You know, if you're going to do a remake of The Warriors, first of all, I don't think it should ever be remade.
No. Second
of all, it's a New York movie. Don't ever set it in LA. You know what I mean? And I don't know how you feel about remakes. For me, it's hit or miss. It depends on the 100%. Remake. But there's certain movies that just shouldn't. It should just stay in all its glory here.
I think Hollywood's terrible when it comes to remakes.
I agree. I agree to an extent. To me, The Warriors is a movie that should never be remade. Mm-hmm. It should never be remade. Mm-hmm. It's never gonna measure up to the original, and you can make it as violent as you want. Mm-hmm. You can make it different as different as you want. It's never gonna be the original, and I agree with you with that with the horror movies.
Yeah,
right?
it's terrible. Freddy,
the original Nightmare on Elm Street,
exactly. My God.
Does not measure up. The remake does not measure up to the original.
Did you see it? Do you think it was bad?
No, the remake.
No,
the
remake.
The remake was terrible. I hated the remake. We're talking about the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street compared to the original.
It was awful.
Right. I saw that movie. I said, why am I looking at this garbage?
And then you have stuff like the Rob Zombie take on Halloween.
I hated
the remake. I hated those too.
You know what? I never saw that movie.
Don't
bother. You need to.
But movies like that, like the original Halloween, should not be remade. You want to continue the series? Go right ahead. You want to make a Warriors 2? A sequel?
No.
Like, for instance, Joe and Anthony Russo want to do a series. If it's a prequel to the Warriors before this all happened, or if it's a sequel to the Warriors where it takes place after the events of the movie, go right ahead. I think the Russo brothers would treat it properly. You know what I mean? Yeah. And in terms of a series, you could draw it out
because
more,
of the history.
More stories. I think for me, and this is fantasy. This is fantasy script writing for myself. If you wanted to do a Warriors series, I would do a prequel prior to the movie. And then slowly you can introduce the characters of Swan and Cleon and all those guys, and then your last episode is like, we're gonna go, and then the last episode sets up the movie.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Or you can do a sequel.
That's fine.
Either way.
If they're gonna do a series,
a movie like this, are you ever gonna recreate that bathroom scene? Are you ever gonna recreate the Lizzie scene?
You're not gonna recreate.
No way.
Who are you gonna get? Who are you gonna get to play Cyrus? And you know what? Looking this up, before they had the actor that played Cyrus, they originally had a gang leader.
I heard. Yeah,
Cyrus.
That's true.
And he disappeared before filming, and the rumor is that he probably got killed before the filming began. Shit. You know what I mean? So there
was a lot of games that didn't want any part of that.
Right,
movie.
you're absolutely right because they think you're gonna participate in this film. Yeah, we're gonna kill your ass instead.
Yeah,
that's nothing you could do, man. This is one of the movies that should never be touched.
You just gotta leave it alone.
Yeah.
Hollywood is terrible for remakes. I'm sorry.
They touched it enough with that bullshit comic book panel thing, and
that's my God.
That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Eric doesn't like comic.
That's it for me, man. They did enough.
No, we're all in agreement that leave it alone because a classic is a classic.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But to play devil's advocate a little bit, you mentioned before when we saw Snow and Cowboy kind of reunite, and you were like, I want to see their journey. Right. A series would do that, So, what are you trying to do?
I don't think if they did a series, I don't think they would ever touch the events of the movie. It would either be a prequel or after.
I would say. Yeah.
So I don't think they would ever touch. So the Russos are not trying to do a retelling.
I don't think so. I don't think. And I'm not.
Who knows really?
I don't have contact with the Russos. I don't speak with them. But if you're a director, right, and you want to take over the franchise of the Warriors and tell their story, are you going to retell the movie as a series, or are you going to be like, listen, why don't we set it either before the events of the movie or after the events of the movie? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you do it during the events of the movie, you're always going to be compared to the original. Mm-hmm. And Are you gonna measure up? Maybe,
it was
maybe
different
not.
Times, different era. Like you can't do that anymore.
But right, but you're never gonna. You're always gonna have a measuring stick. Whereas if you took the story and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna do it before the movie or after," it's its own standalone story that could be critiqued on its own.
There's no games that
Good
dress
or
like
bad,
that anymore.
You
know what I mean?
There's no games that dress like that.
It doesn't matter, but
I know, like my father, my uncle, like everybody used to dress like, you know, if you had a mohawk, that could sit back there like, whoa, this guy is crazy. I gotta cross the street.
You're absolutely right.
You understand? Now, if you see somebody with a mohawk, it's like, hey, this, you know, that's kind of cool.
Let's say,
like it's no one's scared of that anymore.
Right, but you could take the series and set it in.
And set it in the 70s.
If this movie came out in 79, the series is in 77.
The
you know what I mean?
The book is set in the 60s.
Right.
So if the Russos were like, hey, we're doing a retelling.
And we don't know how good they are.
They could take it directly from
that's what I'm saying. Like, and now if they did that, it's not the Warriors still to me.
That's what I'm talking about. You just leave it alone.
So counterpoint to that, it's the Warriors, but it's the early Warriors.
It's the early,
right.
Okay.
It's maybe how the gang got established.
I think that's a good idea. Like how they met Snow, how they met Ajax, like stuff like that.
And
that's
then
cool.
Then you could even do a spin-off storyline within the storyline of, you know, Cyrus coming to power and Cyrus, you know, deciding to raise up these gangs. You know, you could even do all that. You know what I mean? Like, you could do a bunch of things, spin off with that. You know, if you think about it, for, you know, whatever. You don't have to do that, so to speak. But if you wanted to do that, that's probably the best way to go. Because, like, in my opinion, trying to recreate this is you're never gonna win. It's a no-win situation.
This movie's a classic.
No-win situation.
If you guys that's listening right now, if you haven't seen The Warriors, see it. See it on a rainy day, like you know you're not going outside or anything like that. I guarantee you guys, you're gonna love it.
You cannot love it.
You're gonna love it.
It's just so great.
Yeah.
But you know, obviously we spent the last couple hours watching it, going, you know, talking about all the scenes. Mm-hmm. But all in all, when we say it's great, people want to know. Like, if you tell somebody that's never seen a movie like The Warriors, like, hey, you've never seen The Warriors? Oh, it's so great. And they're like, well, why is it great? What would you say?
I would say it's great because that's how it was in New York City.
Right.
Like, if you know your history, you live in New York City all your life, you was born in the 80s or whatever, and you've been in New York City all your life, you will love The Warriors. Even if you've never been in New York City at all, but you know how it was back in those days with gangs, because it was like that in LA, it was like that in Chicago. Everybody just had their own gangs, you know? And you will appreciate this movie 100%. Mm-hmm. Back in the 70s and early 80s, I guarantee you will appreciate this movie. I actually showed this movie to my boy Al.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say maybe a month and some change ago, and he loved it.
I mean,
like this movie was made like 1979.
People still love it,
and people because that's how it was.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what state you in. If you know about gangs and stuff like that, that's how it was.
Yeah,
and everything is just so. I feel like it's so perfect because they just trying to make it home, and everybody look at the Warriors as good guys, but they actually bad because they're in a gang. They're just trying to make it home.
Yeah,
and it's like Streets of Rage. When you play Streets of Rage and you play that night, by the time you get to the boss, it's daytime. By the time they get home, it's daytime. You fighting the whole night.
Yeah, whole night.
So it's like you're there with them. You understand what's going on. You want to make it home. So I think I just think like The Warriors is like a great movie, 100%. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
All right, here's a question if I could pull before we end it off.
Yeah.
In terms of top movies all time, where does it stand for you?
Jeez,
like
all time? That's crazy.
See, so that was gonna be my thing. Like, are we gonna?
Oh shit, my bad.
No, that's fine. but I was gonna pose it as like, in the beginning of the recording, I said is arguably the greatest cult movie of all time. And for cult, like, what makes a cult movie? A cult movie.
Well, it's the recognition after
it's
the
fact.
It's the recognition
after the fact. Yeah, right. So critics will bash it and may not.
They bash it earlier, correct?
Bash it early. It may not make a lot of money, but it still has a legacy. Yeah. Because it has a huge fan base, and that's what the Warriors is.
I mean, you want to talk about reach?
You see it on Halloween.
Yeah.
If you look at Halloween 2018, 2017, 2016, and you look it up on Google, I guarantee you will see people with the Warriors uniform.
So for me personally, like my favorite movies usually rotate, like it's like a revolving door because it's always hard for me to say like what my favorite movie.
I can't do that.
Yeah, it's tough.
I can't do that.
Especially when we're movie buffs. It's tough
I can't do that.
I have no problem putting Warriors in top 10 all time of
I could watch that movie anytime.
Of any movie.
Can you watch
ever.
that movie anytime?
Yes.
But as far as like movies that fall into the category of cult status, it's probably the greatest ever.
Jeez.
The greatest cult movie ever?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so if I could chime in here, I would agree with you 100% in terms of cult movie status. I would say, which I'm not a fan of, but let's say Rocky Horror Picture Show is probably right there.
Yeah.
But for me, The Warriors, its cultural reach is right there.
Yeah.
Oh, culture.
In terms of its pop culture status and the way it's reached into
and it's a mixed
music.
It's a mixed game.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like the way it's reached into like movies, video games, other sports, the way it is. Like everything.
The crew was like mixed. That's what I love about it. Like you had like blacks, like it's perfect.
Like for me, it's like, and I agree with you. Like when people are like, oh, what do your favorite movie of all time is? My go-to is always The Godfather, but at the time they asked me, it's like, is that my number one?
That movie is
maybe this week it is, but I love the movie. But in terms of the Warriors, it's always in my top 3.
Sure.
Hands down, top 3. Okay. No, it is because when I talk about this movie, it's one of the movies that I could talk about and be like, you need to watch it. If you've never seen this movie, you need to go home and watch this movie tonight. Yeah. And I was like, and I'll tell people like the way I describe it, like I'll describe the plot, and then I'll say like, you'll notice like, Shaq has said it, and this rapper has said it, and this, and then when they watch it, they'll be like, "Yo, I had no idea it came from this movie."
Yeah,
and they're like, "Oh yeah, cool." And it's not even that. Like for me personally, I fucking love this movie.
Oh yeah.
And like I could watch
the movie. The comic scenes, right?
No, the original. I could watch it anytime. Movie, and when we were talking about like, the 40th anniversary, I went back and bought the movie again on digital and watched it again. And the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, this is why I love this movie.
Yeah,
to be honest with you,
so good.
It could be number 1 on any day. Usually it's number 3. Okay. It's always in my top 3 though.
Well, what's your number 1?
I'd say number 1 is The Godfather. Number 2 is always a rotating second. Number 3 is always The Warriors. If I had it, it's always The Warriors. It's always up there.
You talking about like movies of all time?
Yeah, all time. It's hard, man. It's hard.
I really like Back to the Future movies.
No, I'm saying I love Back to the Future too, boy. And like, I mean, listen, we could sit here and talk and do a whole other podcast on top movies, top sci-fi, top horror.
It's all about what you like, you know.
Right. It's all personal preference. For me, it's like, whenever everyone says top movie of all time, because I could accurately explain why I love The Godfather so much and why it's number 1. Like I could give you a detailed like why I love it. And the same thing with this one. I can tell you exactly why. It is a great movie. Why the Warriors are in my top 3, and I can tell you exactly why it's in my top 3. So if you want to debate me, whatever, I'm gonna be like, listen.
I need you to write me an essay about it.
I could write you an essay. But you're right. I could write an essay about the Warriors and why it's in my top 3 right now. Okay, certain movies I can't.
So what I asked Shah before is, when you're talking to somebody who's never seen the movie, and you're like, oh, it's great, and they're like, why is it great? What would you say?
So I say, why is it great? I mean, like, look, dude, you have no idea. So like, the first thing I started is like, dude, if you've never seen this movie, you'll watch this movie and realize that a lot of movies and everything take off from it. And then I go, listen, there's a million gangs in New York, and they're all going to gather on this one night because this one guy wants to give a speech. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in that speech, he's talking about taking over New York City. Mm-hmm. And in the middle of that speech, somebody kills him. Mm-hmm. And the guy that kills him blames it on this guy from the group called the Warriors. And now the Warriors are from Coney Island, and they're in the Bronx. The entire movie is spent is just getting back to their turf. So they're going from the Bronx back to Coney Island, and the whole point is that they're running into all these different gangs along the way. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and when you watch this movie, you'll know why it's so dope. Yeah, and you'll realize that, oh damn, this person took it from this, and this person took it from this. It's like, because every different scene has been quoted or taken off from something else. You'll know why. I'm like, and I'm telling you. That's why it's dope.
And I like how it starts off in the Bronx because the Bronx is up north, and all the other boroughs go south. So you have to go up north. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, and then they trying to make it home, so they have to go back south. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like Brooklyn, and it's just like they just fighting their way like just to get home. And it's just, that's the whole movie.
The whole point is
getting home. Right. And they fighting their way. And it's like, if you watch this movie and you actually pay attention, no one's like distracting you or anything, you feel like, yo, I want the Warriors to get home, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you with them. It's so like, it feels like you're a warrior. Like, you with them.
Yeah, absolutely right.
That's why this movie is so classic. It's so great because it's like, come on, guys, make it home. Like, oh my gosh, this guy he got arrested. It's like, you want these guys to go home.
It's not about taking over either. It's not about like taking over, being number one gang. It's about like, listen, shit just went down. We just got to get back to our turf to figure shit out. That's all it is, because they have no idea. They're accused of killing him until they were in the movie. Then it's like, damn. It's not about like, oh, we need to prove our innocence or anything. It's just like, yo, listen, let's just get back to where we are, so nobody can mess with us anymore. You know what I mean? And that's the great. You know what it is? It's simplistic, and yet it makes perfect sense, and it's effective, dude.
You know, I would want to get home.
There's no.
I'm in the Bronx. I'm trying to get home.
It's not overcomplicated. It's not like some big conspiracy theory. It's just like, listen, something happened. Let's get the hell out of here. Exactly. In a nutshell, that's exactly what it is.
Get the hell out of here.
Yo, it is what it is. And how many times have you been at a club or you've been out to a bar, been in a restaurant, something happens, and you're like, let's get the hell out of here. And we're out. You know what I mean? It's exactly what it is.
And we talked about movies that are remade. The reason why they're remade is because of a new audience, right?
Right.
A younger generation of people. And it's a way to keep iconic characters alive, like Freddy and Jason and stuff.
That's why they're doing a Star Wars movie, like, you know.
Right. We do Star Wars because it's such a popular franchise. They want to keep it going. Could the Warriors, would a new generation of kids like the Warriors?
Remember, I just said I showed the Warriors to my boy Al,
But he's our age, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
He's never seen the Warriors.
I showed it to him maybe a month and a half ago, bro.
No way.
And he loved it.
I'm gonna text him right now. It's upsetting.
He loved it, though.
Right, but he's our age, so I'm talking about like the younger kids.
I don't know if they will understand that type of culture the way how New York was.
Right.
The culture and
if you look at like
to jump off of that though, the culture now is different. Right?
That's what I'm saying.
So with Ajax, the way he says, "What if you going?" You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say it again.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be accepted.
If
it got remade now. We wouldn't be able to do it. It used to be, the Warriors used to be shown on Spike TV when it was Spike TV all the time.
That's true.
They used to blurt that part out, but you know, like they stopped playing it. Now it's Paramount Network. You know, my thing is, so I have two perspectives, right? Like my wife, who's my age, has never seen it. I took her to no, she's at the time she had never seen it. I took her to a midnight showing at the Sunshine Theater on Houston Street, which is not there anymore. Which is it's upsetting.
Way.
They used to do these midnight showings.
Yo,
of
remember
classic
they showed
movies
Ninja
all the
Turtles
time.
too?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They were showing Ninja Turtles.
Me and Bugs went and saw the original Ninja Turtles at a midnight showing.
It was dope. It's excellent.
So we went. Me and her went for a midnight showing for the Warriors, and we're watching it. Never seen it before. Loved it. They did trivia before. Blah, blah, blah. Now my son. If there's a remake, I will not show him the remake until I show him the original.
Ooh, you're a good father. You're a good father.
I'm saying, like, you have to show him, like, listen, you have to watch this movie. And I already have, like, there's a running list. Like, I'm trying to get him into wrestling now. He loves wrestling. I'm trying to show him, like, he's too young, obviously, but, like, classic matches. Same thing with the movies. Like,
that's
show him all the classic movies first.
You know
what I mean? Like, for the younger artists, will they understand? Who the hell knows? But it's up to us to be like, you need to watch this shit right now. You know what I mean? It's on us. No, without a doubt. I mean, listen, you see the thing you're watching right now? Watch this shit right now.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, no, man. It is what it is, bro.
Yeah. And that's what I always said about the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, is because the remake was so bad.
Sucks.
I saw it once. I wanted to kill myself.
The original one and just re-release it in the theater. You know, because it's not like, but I mean, I guess. I mean, it's taking a chance either way. Like, people either gonna like it or they don't. But you can't make a classic any better.
Do it. Hollywood's fucking up.
Right, and the remake didn't do anything because there's never been a sequel since.
Oh, because it made no money.
It was
shit. That's
so it wasn't effective as a remake to try to present it to a younger audience. So why not just re-release it?
Right.
On a wider scale.
I agree. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Why not bring those originals and just be like, hey, let's but it's not. It's not up to those. It's up to those theater owners now. Like, for instance, like the Sunshine Theater in Houston, which is, it's upsetting how it's closed now. But every Saturday night, they used to do a movie, an old school movie, and they would and just for that one night, it would be like a Friday, Saturday. You know, Jaws, The Warriors, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and every month, like once a month, they would play The Room over and over again because it was like the running joke. You know what I mean? But like, you know, stuff. It's up to those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to be like, listen. This is something you need to watch. Like, unless me and you and Buzz get a show where we're reintroducing old movies and we do like movie marathons, whatever. Maybe
that's what we do.
Yeah, maybe it is. I mean, at this point, we need to have a spin-off podcast of old movies. Why not?
Let's do it.
Yeah, you know, like,
I'm down for
but
that,
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's up to us. and like the cinephiles to put the younger generation onto these movies, because TV, I mean, when we were kids, right or wrong, Channel 11 on a Saturday and Sunday afternoon used to play all the old movies. They don't do that no more.
What movie did I say?
And this is WB11, not before it was WB, it was WPIX.
Yeah, that's
they don't,
right.
Yeah, they don't do it anymore.
They just show Flash Gordon.
Right. So
Flash
Gordon, Apocalypse Now, Beastmaster.
I used to see that every time 3 o'clock.
The Eye of
Praxis. Yeah.
No, but seriously, like they used to play all these old movies. Nobody does that anymore.
Nobody does that.
Unless you have IFC or TCM, you know what I mean? Like,
you know what? The El Rey Network does that.
Mm-hmm.
The El Rey Network.
Absolutely right.
That's true.
Absolutely right.
Shit,
but the El Rey Network is not picked up by every single cable thing.
If you have a basic cable package, you're not getting it.
No, you're not getting that. You're just getting TNT and TBS.
Right. He's right, and that's the problem. So it's up to people like us to be like, listen, this is a movie you need to see. Like right now, we were talking about it. Me and Boogs were talking about it, and I texted you. I was like, dude, 40th anniversary of the Warriors. We need to do something about that. We need to talk about it.
I'm glad I'm here.
We need to exactly. You're absolutely right.
So that's The Warriors. If you haven't seen it, you really got to check it out because it's one of the greatest movies. I think we've all agreed on that multiple times. One of the greatest movies of all time. And make sure you join in on the conversation and let us know who's your favorite character in The Warriors. If you haven't seen it, tell us why you haven't seen it and then go watch it. Who's your favorite character?
Yeah.
What's your favorite moment in the movie? Who's your favorite gang besides The Warriors? And you can do all that. Fans Perspective homepage at starsandcelebs.com.
Nice.
SoundCloud.com, where you're listening to this. You can leave your comments there.
Let's get it.
YouTube, where we upload our podcast now, and there's other great content coming at you from Stars and Celebs. You can subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified, and you can comment there. And don't forget, follow us on Instagram at Fans Perspective Pod, and also at Crystal Portal, because that's me.
Oh, how you doing?
Any plugs you guys want to do? Eric, you want to plug something?
At Wrestling Guys PC, I'm still active on Twitter. The show's currently in hiatus because it's just me talking about wrestling for an hour, and I want to hear myself talking for an hour. So as of right now, as we retool, I'm on Twitter. We're talking about everything wrestling, all the latest stories, all everything that's going on in the pay-per-views and everything like that. So hit me up.
And if you ever need somebody to join you, let me know. I'll be down for that. So again, Eric, Shahad,
AKA Boogie.
Two of my closest friends, and thank you so much. I really love you guys, and I'm glad that you guys are here.
Yeah, we got to do this again. This shit was an excellent time,
because this was so much fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my first podcast joining, and I want to say I had a great time. I had an excellent time. I had a perfect time, and it was good because we talked about things that we all love, and I just want to say thank you for all the listeners, all the subscribers, and it's like, keep listening because we got more coming.
You want an Oscar over here? What's going
on?
We definitely got more. Of course, the Fans Perspective will come at you every week, and we got more coming up, more watch-alongs that I hope that you guys will come back for. Who knows? Maybe this is the start of something new. Stay tuned.